Live feed on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It seems to run on some form of electricity.
Well, you're not wrong.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together.
Now, here's your host.
He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Josh Hennig.
.973 ESPN FM. Josh Hennig, broadcasting live Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. We're working through some technical stuff right now, but we are down here, and I got Mike Carlin joining me here. As Mike, we're on for now, but I still got to figure out what the other setting is to make sure that we stay on. How are you doing?
It'd be nice to stay on, huh?
I would hope. I would certainly.
Josh,
hope.
We have jumped through holes and hills and everything before, and we did it again. You always seem to make it work. I mean, but the one time we were at Harris and we did it within 29 seconds of going live. Today was like less than a minute. So somehow we make it work.
Well, we do that. And thank you to Alex and Nick back in the studio. I'm not fully sure what's going on with my computer here.
There you go.
But there we go. All right, you can see us now. It's a miracle. Listen, we got a busy show today. At some point, we'll be joined by Larry Goldberg, the promoter. You see Boxing Insider Promotions behind us here at Tropicana, Atlantic City, because this is the main reason why we're here. We are here because we have five New Jersey fighters on the card tonight at Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Tickets are still on sale at Ticketmaster.com, or the box office opens at, 4 o'clock?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. So, if you're someone who's in Atlantic City to go to the St. Patrick's Day parade, maybe you go to the parade, you hang out with some people, and then you come over to Tropicana when the parade is done to watch the fights tonight.
Great night. It's a great day.
It's actually a great weekend in Atlantic City because we will be also being joined at 1 o'clock by Travis Tellitocci. He will be joining us at 1 o'clock. I said his name right all week. And now
you got a lot going on there,
at 12:03 p.m., my brain completely forgot the guy's last name.
And he just happens to be the commissioner of the MAAC.
Yeah, so we'll be here because the MAAC tournament, we gave away tickets the last couple of weeks on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. And as a result of those ticket giveaways, we were able to get people to the women's and men's championship games. So the women's championship game is Monday at 6 o'clock. The men's championship game is Tuesday at 9 p.m., but session tickets are still on sale for that for Sunday. So you can go all day Sunday. It's supposed to rain on Sunday. So what is a great weekend? You come to boxing here at Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Go to college basketball tomorrow. Because remember, folks, you got to support the local community. These events depend on people like you coming out to these events. So I would just want to emphasize that before we.
And I will tell you, Josh, being a basketball nut like I am and coming from the Philadelphia market, South Jersey basketball is good. But when you get outside of our bubble, you see what really basketball is all about. When you have a chance to come to Atlantic City and see these college kids play, it's really, you watch one game, you don't want to leave your seat for the next game. It is just fast. It's exciting.
Yep.
And the players are just, and they're players that you see now in the MAAC that next year they won't be in the MAAC because now with the NIL, they'll just jump all over them. The best players come and then they leave.
Yeah, and of course, Merrimack, they had another good showing yesterday, so they got a couple local guys on that
number
team
one seed
as well. So,
but
let's bring it back to the Tropicana Atlantic City. So here's the rundown for today's show. Again, shout out to Alex and Nick back in the 97.3 ESPN studio for putting up with us to get me on. Literally, if Timothy didn't walk by and talk to us,
we'd be in trouble.
Yeah, we'd be in. Well, we wouldn't have a show right now. So, thanks to everybody for tuning in to Hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. As I mentioned, we are here for the boxing event tonight. 5 New Jersey fighters are among the 6 fighters on the card tonight. Of course, 2 Holy Spirit High School graduates, Justin Figueroa and Josh Popper, are among them in action. Pleasantville High School graduate Julio Sanchez III, Berlin, New Jersey's Leah Lewandowski, and of course from Manalapan, it is John Body Shots Leonardo. So it's a stacked card here at Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Here's the lineup as well. We're going to talk some Flyers coming up at 12:25 because the Flyers made a couple moves at the deadline. So what does it even mean, right? I think that's always a big question, right? So we got Flyers insider Kevin Durso joining us coming up at 12:25. MAAC Commissioner Travis Tellitocci at 1 p.m. At 1:25 is the debut of the Ivy Rehab Injury Report. We will be joined by Dr. Josh Lamb. We're going to get his perspective on the latest Joel Embiid injury. Because, there's always a new Joel Embiid injury. And of course.
When does it get old?
Right. But we also have a VJ Edgemcomb injury. So we want to get into what it means for both of those players moving forward, Mike. And as always, we have Andy McNamara to talk some NFL. Huge trade yesterday in the NFL. And that's where we're going to start here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Because for those who might have been doing other things last night, people have lives, right? They can't track the news every single day. There was a big, massive trade last night. For the first time in the history of the Baltimore Ravens, which dates back to 1996, they have never traded first-round picks for a player. Last night was that night. They traded picks.
They're all in, Josh.
To get Max Crosby. And this is a clear sign of what the Eagles are going to be asking for now. Because there's been 2 trades this week that set the market. It doesn't matter what other people think people are worth. It matters what the Eagles think they're worth. And there's a lot of reporting out there that says the Eagles are looking at the Davante Adams trade from a few years ago. Davante Adams at the time was older than A.J. Brown is now. Okay? He was 2 years older, and they got a first and second round pick for him. The Eagles are saying, well, if that's what a player who's 2 years older got, who is, you could argue Davante Adams, a future Hall of Famer, potentially, right? He's a really darn good player. We should get that compensation. Other teams are saying, we don't want to pay that. Well, now there's been 2 trades made this week that clearly delineate the market. The market is telling you clearly in, Technicolor, okay, telling you if DJ Moore is worth a second-round pick and Max Crosby is worth 2 first-round picks, then I think it's fair to say that A.J. Brown falls in between. So the teams that are saying we don't want to give up a first-round pick pretty much got told in the last 72 hours the Eagles' asking price is correct. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a football expert, Mike Carlin, to read the tea leaves. The tea leaves are saying the Eagles are asking the correct asking price.
Yeah, and I don't really know if the Eagles really want to get rid of him just because he's letting it be known that, maybe it'd be nice to leave and all that. You've never really heard him come out and say, I want out of here. And you haven't heard Howie say, and we don't want him. So what you got to see, there's no reason to jump through hoops right now. They don't have to. I let it just play out. Would I be surprised if he's with the Eagles? Not at all.
No, and I think it's kind of one of those things where, I usually have my other computer up and running, and I don't want to confuse Alex back in the studio, but one of the bites we played yesterday on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill was from Albert Breer, who's been covering the NFL for decades, and Jeff McClain, who covers the Eagles in Philadelphia, and for the Inquirer. And McClain and Breer both agreed that basically this situation is going to be very difficult to put the toothpaste back in the tube, because you have a situation where the Eagles have been taking calls. A.J. Brown's people, like his representation, have talked to teams at the combine last week, because we know that's where the real deals happen. At 1 o'clock in the morning when everybody's been drinking at St. Elmo's in Indianapolis. That's where the real conversations, the napkin gets pushed across the table kind of stuff. And I'm not being sarcastic. I've had multiple people tell me, Mike Gill, and others here on 97.3 ESPN that's where a lot of deals happen, is at NFL Combine Week. And if A.J. Brown's people are talking to other teams, and if the Eagles are taking calls from other teams, it's hard to suggest or believe or theorize that it's going to be just, oh, it's no big deal. Just bring A.J. Brown back. I don't think it's that simple, Mike.
Mhm.
Can they bring him back? Yes, because the players love him. The teammates, they respect him. They admire him. But you know what? Sports is a business. And it's not always about who your friends are. It's about what is putting you in the best position to be successful. And if you get another first round pick out of trading A.J. Brown, you know what? You basically recoup what you traded for him.
I wouldn't do it, to be honest with you. He's too good. He's too good. And he's too good if we lose him. So you got Smith. And who's your next?
Well, that's where the draft comes in.
So now we're going to hope that someone's going to be as good as him or even close to him. I wouldn't do that. We're in a position to win. We're not rebuilding or anything like that. If we were rebuilding, I'd say, okay, let's do that. You only got a year or two left with these guys. You got to win. You have one of the best receivers on your team right now. You keep him. And remember, we had problems with him with a little bit of talking and sidelines and all that. What happened when the owner came down and talked to him? Remember the face one-on-one?
Yeah.
You didn't hear anything from him the rest of the season. So guess what? If he's got to do that again within the next week or two, hey, we're done talking about all this. We plan on keeping you.
Right.
We don't want any problems. We'll see.
What do you guys think on the text board? 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig broadcasting live for Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City, presented by Boxing Insider Promotions. We're streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio. Josh Hennig along with Mike Carlin. Mike Carlin's hanging out for part of the show here. Because Mike Carlin's a busy guy, so he's got things to do.
Got to run over to Boardwalk Hall after this.
Yeah, you got places to be.
Got places to be. It's basketball season. This is it. This next month is unbelievable for me.
Text board is open, 609-403-0973 to join the conversation. What do you guys think, about the A.J. Brown situation? Because to me, I think a lot of this has to do with if you believe, and, that word belief is a really finicky word, right? If you believe that A.J. Brown is a problem, you're going to trade him. But if, as you said, you don't see him as a problem and you don't have an obvious replacement for him, then you don't trade him at all. Now, the Max Crosby situation, I think, is where the measuring stick is, because the Raiders were not necessarily looking to trade Max. But when the Ravens, because, the Cowboys called and the Raiders said no.
I'm so glad Cowboys didn't get him. If he had to go somewhere, go to that other conference.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the Cowboys because we're going to get to them in a minute because something about them we have to address here. The Cowboys offered a first and second round pick. And the Raiders said no. So that means that when the Ravens called offering 2 1s,
you grab it.
That was the Godfather offer. That was the offer we can't refuse. And I think that is where all of this gets really interesting, Mike, is that when you have a player like Max Crosby, who, not throwing a guy under the bus, but he has been injured the last couple of years. He's coming off of a surgery. For him to get 2 first-round picks, I think it's very fair for the Eagles to say, look, unless you're offering me the sun and the moon and the first-round pick, I'm not moving this guy. And the only way I think A.J. Brown gets traded is if a team like the Patriots, who have Mike Vrabel, who used to coach A.J. Brown, says, we have to get this guy, then you're going to be in a situation where he's going to be traded. But I do agree. I don't think, because there's not an obvious replacement for him, it's difficult to get rid of him. And can we throw on top of it? We don't know if Dallas Goedert's going to come back. That means you're going to lose 11 receiving touchdowns.
Sounds like he's not.
And I think he's going to be the highest paid tight end potentially in this free agent market. I think he's going to get a lot of money on like a 2-3 year deal, one of those front loaded kind of contracts.
You think he's that good?
Well, it's not about
or is it the timing?
It's the timing.
Okay.
Because one, he's coming off of the best season of his career. Mike, the previous 4 years combined, he had 12 touchdowns. He had 11 last year. So he had the best year of his career. He was actually healthy for the most part for the first time in years. Teams are going to look at that and they're going to say, we can use that guy. And in a market where the other best tight end is probably either Cade Otton or Isaiah Likely, Dallas is going to get money. The question is, are the Eagles going to be competitive with the offer? And I'm worried they're not going to be. And if they're not going to be competitive with the offer, then guess what's going to happen? If you're not competitive with the offer, then it incentivizes you to keep AJ Brown and to not trade him, especially considering that team in Dallas, they hired Christian Parker to be the defensive coordinator, your former defensive backs coach. You don't think that somebody, Reed Blankenship, Nakobe Dean, maybe Jalen Phillips, I'm not saying, but I'm just putting it out there, that these guys who know Christian Parker
and his system,
he's not going to want maybe someone to come down there. And Jerry, he'll spend. Jerry ain't afraid to go bankrupt trying to buy a football team. He'll pay the luxury tax. He don't care. He's not financially responsible.
Again, the Crosby not going to the Cowboys was huge for me.
Massive.
Okay. Getting back to Crosby, what he meant to the team and the surrounding area of Vegas, guys. If you're not, I spent a lot of time in Vegas. I have a lot of friends in Vegas. You know how we like love Kelsey?
Yeah.
I'm not saying the same, but he's like that in Vegas.
Yeah.
And trust me, the people out there right now are not happy that they just lost him because of all the things he did. Not forget on the field is what he did off the field and what he did in locker rooms and stuff like that. It's just it's a big blow for Vegas. And now you can tell Vegas they're rebuilding. They got the number 1 pick. They're going to have a lot of other picks coming, and they're, they think they need to get set for 4 or 5 years from now, not right now. And Crosby wasn't going to do anything for them in the next year or two.
609-403-0973 is text message. So we got the Eagles on tap, the big trade, Max Crosby. What does it mean for Philadelphia? The other teams, and we'll be talking with Kevin Durso, our Flyers insider, coming up in about 8 minutes from now. We'll be getting to the Flyers. But we also got to touch on the Sixers, Mike, because of the fact that this team's in a weird situation, okay? Paul George is suspended till the end of the month. Joel Embiid now has an oblique injury, which was previously reported to be bruised ribs, but apparently now it's an oblique. We'll talk with Dr. Josh Lamb about that coming up at 125. What the heck is the difference between an oblique and a rib injury? I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a medical expert. To me, it's all kind of in the same area. But still, they said Embiid is not going to play tonight. He's being reevaluated. He might play again next week. VJ Edgemcomb, he has a bruise in his spine from falling the other night because, first of all, the fact that was not made a more serious foul call in that game on Tuesday night, those referees should be reprimanded.
That was dangerous. Okay,
he literally, that's like a horse collar in football. You can't come up from behind a guy and rip him down to block the shot. No offense to the rest of the Sixers. There should have been a guy on that team who went up and tried to fight that guy. There should have been some sort of enforcer. I know Billy Schwein would say back in the day, Rick Mahorn would have done that. But, in today's NBA, you see guys fighting still. There was a huge brawl. What was it between the Thunder and the Rockets last week? Of course, a lot of that was just guys, swinging and missing. But, there was still
someone owed someone for a drink they didn't pay for the night before when they were all out together.
But,
they're all friends, Josh.
Right.
They're all buddies.
But, when SGA got knocked around, right, those guys jumped in to protect their guy. So, to me, I would have loved to see, I don't know.
What's his name? The backup center.
Drummond.
Drummond
go out there.
That's a Drummond thing right there.
That's your job, Drummond. You're the veteran. Maybe Kyle Lowry should have ran off the bench and fought somebody. He hasn't done anything all year. So the larger point is, I obviously say that in jest. I know Kyle Lowry is a kind of like a pseudo player coach at this point. He's been mentoring a lot of the young guys. But Mike, the Sixers, they cannot afford to fall into the play-in tournament. They got to stay in the top 6. Because if you fall in that play-in tournament, your uphill battle is not a normal uphill battle. Because all of those teams in that 6 to 10 range who are not you, they're all scrappy. And no offense to the Sixers.
And waiting for you.
The Sixers, if you're going against teams that have 10 scrappy guys and you have 3 scrappy guys, you know who's going to win?
Yeah.
Them.
I've been saying all along, guys, that the Sixers are not the Sixers that everybody thinks they are. And they're a great team with Embiid playing. You can't count on them. So, to my mind, I don't even consider them for the playoffs. I really don't. If they surprise me and all of a sudden they're there, that's great. But I have a feeling where I've said a couple months ago, I would have just sat him for the next 3-4 months, and I would say come back April 1st and let's get ready for the playoffs. But they didn't do it. So now he plays 2-3 games, he's out 2-3 games. Plays 2-3, he's out. He's out for the week.
The usual.
There's always something hurting him. And when the playoffs start, there's no time for that.
No,
and,
there's not.
And the teams are just too good when they get there.
And I think it goes back to, we'll get into more of this a little bit later in the hour, but you and I had the conversation, I don't know, I want to say 18 months ago, about moving on from Joel Embiid. And there's a lot of people out there who are now coming to your side of the conversation, Mike, about how if you need to find a way to either move on from him or Paul George to free up money, or to basically build a roster that is no longer complimenting Joel and complimenting Tyrese Maxey, you got to do it. And guess what? Trading away Jared McCain for draft picks isn't building a roster.
Mm-mm. No, but they, at the time, I have to tell you, they didn't need to get through and get him out, because you're not going anywhere with 3 guards. Okay. You have your 2 guards for the future. He didn't want to come off the bench for the next 5-7 years. So they had to get something for him, and they got as much as they could for him. I didn't have a problem with him moving on. If what's his name from Duke wasn't as good as he was, then we would need him. But we don't really need him right now. We need a stretch forward is what we need. We need a center is what we need. But
I mean,
we'll see.
I will say this really quick. He could have been a backup point guard if he was willing.
I don't think he. Yeah,
I don't know if he was willing.
Yeah, he's too good in his mind and coming out there. I'm not here to be a backup.
So it's hard for me to know, like, did Nick Nurse just hate the guy and never play him? Or did he say, I don't really want to be a point guard. I want to be an off-ball guard. So I don't know what the dynamics are of that necessarily, because VJ Edgemcomb seems to be very willing to be a ball handler and an
anything
off-guard.
You want. Yeah.
Right.
And I think he's a lot better than they thought he was going to be. I think they thought he was going to be good. I didn't think they think it was going to be this good.
He's Mike Carlin. I'm Josh Hennig, hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live at Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City, where tonight is the night. We've been telling you for a couple of months at this point, when we first announced it right here on 97.3 ESPN. Margate's Larry Goldberg has his 7th Boxing Insider Promotions fight card tonight. Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Tickets are still on sale. You still have a chance to get tickets. Ticketmaster.com, or stop by the Tropicana Showroom box office coming up at 4 p.m. That's when they will open. It's going to be an amazing fight card. 5 New Jersey fighters in action among the 6 fights. It is always an action-packed fight card. You will not find this type of action anywhere else in Atlantic City. A top-to-bottom stacked action card. People will try to tell you that they have boxing in Atlantic City, but their boxing is not stacked from top to bottom. A lot of those cards have tomato cans, we'll call them.
Well, it's also, it's not
cards.
being like at the Boardwalk Hall where you're far away. I mean, you hear it when you're in this ballroom. You hear the punches.
Yes.
No matter where you're sitting, you feel like you're right in their fight.
And you're almost like on top of them, the way the seating, the arena seating is in the showroom. So make sure you guys come on down, support the local fighters here from South Jersey, and come out to enjoy a great night of boxing. Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City, Boxing Insider Promotions tonight. That's where we are, hanging with Hennig, along with Mike Carl, and I'm Josh Hennig, broadcasting live on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. And we are streaming live on YouTube and X at Josh Hennig. Looking for a great happy hour or night out with friends and family? Hangtime Bar and Grill, located on the White Horse Pike in Galloway, has live music every Tuesday night, DJ Bingo every Wednesday night, and check out their 30 TVs to watch your favorite team play any time of year. So it's that button, not that button. Basketball tournament action in March with food and drink specials at the main bar, or check out their new private back deck patio. Plus, you can watch all the madness with Hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live at Hangtime Bar and Grill in Galloway on March 21st. Check out Hangtime Bar and Grill on Facebook and Instagram to learn more about their weekly specials and one of the best happy hours in South Jersey on the White Horse Pike in Galloway at Hangtime Bar and Grill.
For 23 years, we've helped athletes at all levels at Clemic Performance Method, from youth to pros, increase maximum velocity, acceleration, vertical leaps, and general physical preparedness. We offer youth, high school, and pro college classes. Our proven results have earned national recognition from NFL coaches, sponsors, and a feature on ESPN Radio's Sports Science segment. You can contact me directly at 609-742-6190, or as always, visit us on our website, clemicperformancemethod.com.
Tired of the runaround? Then drive over to Bridgeton Auto Mall, where the savings this month are a slam dunk. We've slashed prices on our massive selection of new and pre-owned vehicles. Whether you need an SUV for the family, a fuel-efficient sedan, or a truck for the job, we've got the perfect deal to help you win big. And our award-winning service department is here for all oil changes, tire rotations, even major repairs. Don't miss your shot. Bridgeton Auto Mall on Pearl Street in Bridgeton, or online at drivebam.com.
Hi, I'm Chef Franklin Becker. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. There's only one FDA-approved Ozempic made by Novo Nordisk. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5, 1, and 2 milligrams.
We're here with our industry ace for roofing and siding, Iron Shield Roofing and Siding. For those who may not know you, what's your specialty?
We specialize in residential and commercial roofing and siding, including repairs, full replacements, and new installations. Our focus is on protecting homes and businesses with quality workmanship that lasts.
What makes Iron Shield different?
We bring over 30 years of experience. We're family owned and operated and fully licensed and insured. We also offer free inspections and estimates so customers can understand their options before making a decision.
Why is it so important to stay on top of roof and siding maintenance?
Your roof and siding protect everything underneath. Catching small issues early prevents bigger, more expensive problems later and helps maintain your property's value.
Where can people learn more?
Visit our website or give us a call for a free inspection at ironshieldroofingsiding.com, 609-358-3853. That's ironshieldroofingsiding.com, 609-358-3853.
That pallet of pavers collecting dust? The beginnings of a garden? Those stray fence posts? Are you haunted by half-finished projects on your land? John Deere is here to say, not anymore. Our compact tractors allow you to swap implements easily, and they're backed by the nation's largest dealer network. You always had the right idea, and with the right tools, those projects can get finished for good. Nothing runs like a Deere. Learn more at johndeere.com/compact tractors.
Broadleaf's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. The name you know, the service you trust.
Broadleaf's has you covered in every season. Join their family comfort plan for priority service, annual tune-ups, and extra repair savings. For a limited time, take advantage of $500 off a full system replacement, plus up to $2,650 in utility rebates. Call 609-390-3907 or visit broadleafs.net.
The name you know, the service you trust.
Journey down winding roads to the Piccalilli Inn, a special place in the Pines where time slows, friends meet, and the wings are legendary. Make your family tradition a part of theirs. The Piccalilli Inn, Route 206, Chemung, New Jersey. Visit piccalilli.com.
For over 135 years, First Bank of Sea Isle City has proudly served Cape May County with a commitment to maintaining a hometown feel. We provide secure, convenient deposit and loan products every day. We're more than just a bank. We're a trusted community partner, offering personalized banking solutions that make life easier for local families of all ages. First Bank of Sea Isle City. Look for our lighthouse in your neighborhood and discover what makes us different.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You're hanging with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Hey, you know what? There's another name you might know me by. Star-Lord.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Who? Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig back here at Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City, along with Mike Carlin, hanging with Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN FM, as we got a big boxing event tonight. 2 Holy Spirit High School graduates in different fights. South Jersey and Leah Lewandowski in action. John Leonardo from Manalapan Township, he is in action tonight, as well as Pleasantville High School's Julio Sanchez III. That's just some of the great fighters who are all fighting tonight. Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City, and we are here thanks to Boxing Insider Promotions. Right now, we're going to switch it up to the Flyers because the Flyers didn't make a trade yesterday. So what does it mean? What do we do with all that information? Well, we have our Flyers Insider. Larry Goldberg just walked into the house. The promoter
He's in the house.
He is in the house.
Say Elvis is in the house. Larry's in the house.
Larry's in the house, exactly. We got Kevin Durso joining us from 973ESPN.com as we got to get into what actually happened at the deadline, because the Flyers did make multiple deals, Kevin. So first of all, thanks for joining us today. How's it going?
Going well, Josh. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. So I want to start here because, and honestly, I was so tired and delirious last night, I would have grabbed the audio, but I know you heard the same presser from Briere that I did.
Mhm.
And I thought the comment, I wanted to start with the Ristolainen comment, where he basically painted it as the media was trying to get Ristolainen traded. The Flyers were not trying to do it. And then, he started making some very interesting side comments about, the history of Ristolainen and the Flyers. And, I wanted to get your one start there, Kevin, because, you're someone who's covered this team for a decade. You know the different general managers that have been here. I don't remember a time where Hextall or Fletcher ever overtly called out the media for a situation like the Ristolainen thing, because I don't think it was crazy to think he could be traded, but Briere made it sound like, it was basically the media's fault that he was getting phone calls.
Yeah, I thought that was a little off base on Briere's part. It wasn't like a fabricated thing that the media was pushing that he had to be sold. There was potential good value there because other defensemen of similar style, of similar size were getting traded. And that's, we read the situation as media members. We look at all of the information that we have available. And that's kind of why, I see Tyler Myers go to Dallas. I see the two defensemen that go from Winnipeg to Buffalo. I see trades like that happen. Connor Murphy went to Edmonton. They're all very similar. And you saw the packages in return. And that's why I had put out earlier in the week, I think the floor here was a second-round pick, probably, if you're reading the tea leaves of everything that's going on, of what these return packages are looking like. It was no secret that Briere was looking for a first-round pick. And I understand if Briere's taking a step back and going, I wasn't going to sell low. I wasn't going to let other GMs out there lowball me on this. So I wasn't trying to trade him, but it doesn't mean that he wasn't available. It doesn't mean that you weren't taking calls. And that was not a media fabricated thing. So that's where I thought it was a little off base to make it seem like we were saying, oh, he had to sell him. Nobody said he had to do it. We all just kind of figured by reading all the information we had that the value was probably the highest it was going to be. And that's where it felt like a trade, I don't want to say was imminent, but certainly seemed likely earlier this week. And then obviously never came to fruition.
I mean, I'll admit it. When I saw the Flyers trade Bobby Brink for a guy who physically is a Ristolainen replica, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see, for those who don't know, David Jiricek, who's a former first-round pick, he is almost, I think it's the same exact height as Ristolainen. He's almost the same exact size and everything.
It's very close. And yeah, and I'm with you. I first of all, I'll tell you this. To kind of go over and I know we'll get into the whole scope of the day in general, but that was the first move that was made. And to start the day with, if I'm just looking at that trade by itself in a vacuum, I would have given that a solid B grade for two reasons. One, the prospect is 22 years old. I know he's been on 3 teams now, but clearly there's been some roadblocks for him to get into the NHL. And if there's an opening, I know you and I, Josh, have talked about the defense a lot. So here's a young player who you can, and I read it the same way Briere did from the press conference. It's a little bit like the Jamie Drysdale situation. You bring in a player. Drysdale was 21 when they got him. Now 2-3 years later, he's probably the second best defenseman on the team, and he's really grown over those 2-3 years. So you're trying to do the same thing, and he plays on the right side, and he's got a big shot, and he's big and physical. He's like that, like you said, that Ristolainen kind of replica in a way. So I have no problem with those type of deals. You did it with Drysdale. Theoretically, you did it with Zegras, trying to revitalize him, and you could do the same thing with Jiricek and see if you can't make that work as well and get a nice piece on the younger side. So in a and the other piece of the trade was by moving Bobby Brink out where you had an abundance of wingers, you did two things. You opened up a roster spot, which today is going to Alex Bump, who's a prospect you've been waiting to kind of see at the NHL level, and you opened up more specifically a spot on the right wing, which leaves you with really no excuses to put Matvei Michkov on a side that he has publicly said he prefers to play. So that was why I would have graded that very solidly. You not only took care of a position of potential need and got a younger player that you could try to develop, but you also opened up spots for another player who's developing to get a shot at the NHL level and to move arguably your top prospect to the side that he actually prefers. So all of it played in favor. But then it seemed like it was setting the stage for a lot more than what followed. That's, I think, what's disappointing.
Yeah, and I would just say Kevin Durso, our Flyers insider from 97.3 ESPN.com, at Kevin_Durso on the X platform, joining us. Josh Hennig, Mike Carlin, broadcasting live from Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City, presented by Boxing Insider Promotions. Kevin, when you think about also, you just mentioned about the young prospect coming up, okay? Not Alex Berardis, right, back in the studio, who's our producer today. No, it's Alex Bump, and it's like, who is he? For those who don't know, because I think that's an important part of this conversation. That is, Briere has talked about in the past, and he actually called out. I don't know who the media member who asked the question, but he actually called them out yesterday, where he said, "You always ask me about these young players getting opportunity to come up. Well, I have created now, trading Bobby Brink, an opportunity to bring a young prospect next to talk about who this young prospect is and why it should matter to Flyers fans."
Sure. I mean, well, first of all, as a college player, he was a really solid college player at Western Michigan and helped them win a national championship. And it seemed like last season, after they won the national championship, that it seemed like he was going to not only, he was definitely going to sign. And the question was, would they give him a shot at the very tail end of last season to get a chance at the NHL level? And, prospects like that always kind of, their mind can sometimes go one way or another. A lot of times it goes the one direction, which is, I just want to play immediately. Sure, give me a shot at the NHL level. But when you do that at the end of the season, the Flyers are going to face this probably with Porter Martone if time allows at the end of the season. If you know for sure that you're not a playoff team, and the Flyers weren't last year at this time, and this year it probably will be the same way, do you want to burn a year of an entry-level contract on one game just to give them the experience? Or do you want to say, it's better if we hold off on this for the year, you go to the AHL, you get the professional experience, but we start the contract clock next year? And they didn't do it with Bump. And actually that was Bump saying, I'd rather go into the playoffs in the AHL than go to the NHL for one game, and I'll wait my turn. And then unfortunately, he didn't quite have the standout training camp that people thought he would have, so he didn't start the season in the NHL. He's had some injury trouble in the minors this year that's delayed this. So it took until after the trade deadline and over 60 games into the NHL season for this to finally happen. But here it is, and this is going to be the opportunity for Bump to prove that he belongs in the NHL and gets to stick. He had, like I said, he had a really good college years. If you're a point-per-game player in college, you're usually pretty good, because it's unlike juniors, where juniors, there's an age top out. You play with teenagers primarily. When you come into college and you play starting at 18, 19 years old with 21 and 22-year-olds, there's a higher bar that's set for the physicality of it. And Bump, by the time he was only a sophomore at that time, 42 games, 23 goals, 47 points. That'll get people's attention. And he's not necessarily a highly touted prospect in terms of draft position. He wasn't taken high in the draft by any stretch, but he's made a name for himself as he's been brought up. So now he gets the chance to see if he can do it at the NHL level.
Now, with the trade of Brink, the other thing part of the conversation is you heard some of the players in the locker room, like Konechny, say they're going to miss him. They had a good relationship with him. But I do want to emphasize the fact that this was a restricted free agent. This is a guy who's from Minnesota. So the Flyers were not just trading a guy for a defenseman. The Flyers were trading a guy who there was no guarantee he was coming back, right?
Not necessarily. When you're a restricted free agent, it's kind of like saying you still have club control. So the Flyers really had the control there. I mean, the only way that they may not have been able to bring him back is if somebody really wanted to take the chance and offer sheet him. And I mean, we talked about offer sheets last offseason, thinking that there's big names out there, top 5 draft picks that may not have a contract when free agency rolls around. Somebody might take the chance and try to force a team's hand to overpay them or whatever it may be, and nobody does it. So the chances that somebody was going to swoop in and take him from you on an offer sheet was probably next to nothing. So they really weren't at risk of losing him. The key with him being a restricted free agent is exactly that you have that control, that he's probably on the cheaper end of a contract. So you don't necessarily have to pour a lot of money or assets into maintaining that and keeping him for a long-term future. Like it's the same situation that Trevor Zegras is in. He's a restricted free agent at the end of this year too. And Anaheim could have said, we can keep doing this, keep pushing it down the line, keep him, see if something turns the corner. But ultimately, when you start to get phased out of a situation, that's what happened with Zegras and Anaheim. And the same thing happened with Brink here, where too many wingers in the system lead to you're never going to really amount to much more than where you are now. And if you would like a better opportunity, or just, the Flyers also are going to have to give up some of those wingers to get the other positions of need. That's why you do it for a defenseman like David Juracek, and you give yourself a chance to bolster that area while giving up something from an area where you've got other guys coming. Bump's been waiting in the wings, and Porter Martone's not far away. I mean, Martone is having a killer year as a freshman in college, so he's close, and you needed to start opening up some spots, and that's what they did with that trade.
Kevin, it's Michael. Quick question. I'm the first one to know the people that listen to this. I'm not a big hockey fan, so that has nothing to do with the Flyers. I'm just not a hockey fan. But I always love talking with people that are hockey fans. How do you see the crystal ball moving forward with the Flyers for this year? I'm not worrying about next year or anything like it, but how do you see it coming the next? What do we have? Like a third left of the season left? How do you think?
Yeah, with I'm sorry. Yeah, no, good. It's the quarter of the season left. Yeah.
How do you really see this season? Do they get to the point where, okay, we're not as good as we thought we are, let's start playing young guys, or are they still in it? Like, if I'm just turning on the Flyers for the first time, what do you think I'm going to see moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a tough question, only because once you hit this stage of the season, you kind of have to have that answer. And to me, they kind of still don't, to a degree. I mean, they didn't fully go seller mode and open the door for a bunch of prospects to come up and say, we're using the rest of the the final 21 games of the season to see what we've got. And they can treat it like they're still in the race, but you're still 6 points. Like, to me, this is the biggest problem. And if somebody didn't turn on, it's turning on their first game today, let's say, instead of the last game. The last game they played, they were on a 3-game winning streak going into Thursday against Utah. Utah's pretty much, I mean, coming into that game, the point difference was 1. And I know they're in different conferences, so it doesn't line up, but Utah was 1 point better than the Flyers. You're on a 3-game winning streak. And I kind of really saw, based on everything, Josh, we talked like recent weeks about this. For a long time, your window of opportunity was kind of, well, it's got to be through the wild card and through Boston. That's really the only team you're going to catch if you want to try to make a playoff push. And they got to within 4 points. Boston, with the little break the Flyers had for a couple days, Boston won a game. They got it back to 6 points. But the key was that win for Boston was against Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's been without their captain, Sidney Crosby, for the last several games since the Olympic break. They're going to be still. He did practice yesterday, so that's a little bit of an interesting wrinkle. But also on Thursday night, while the Flyers were playing, Pittsburgh was playing Buffalo. They lose again. Boston lost to Nashville. Now, Buffalo's been really good, but Nashville's not a team you expect to beat Boston. So the gaps stayed the same. You had an opportunity to gain on both of those teams. You're playing Pittsburgh today, which would have been that's a 4-point game, realistically, where you could shift the whole narrative there. And oh, by the way, while the Penguins were losing 5-1 to Buffalo, Evgeny Malkin decided to just, take a stick to the side of the head of Rasmus Dahlin. He's suspended for 5 games now. So now they're down 2 key players. So the window really was there. And if you would have won that game, I think there's a different message to this whole final stretch. I thought that losing 3-0 to Utah and playing one of your most lackluster energy games of the season told you all you needed to know about the direction this season was going. You're not going to get there. Not playing like that, not playing, not basically being able to look back and say, well, the goalie was really good, but everybody else not really with it. And truth be told, if you wanted to talk about being a playoff team and you're going into a deadline where selling is a possibility, even on, not maybe the greatest scale, like realistically, what did they really lose from the deadline yesterday, all things considered? Bobby Brink. Even Nick Delorier getting traded is not a huge loss to their lineup. So you had one player get traded, but you played the night before as if 5 players were getting traded, as if the roster was being blown up, and you played kind of with fear. The playoff teams that may still have to sell a piece wouldn't play that game thinking about, well, the deadline's coming and I don't know which of my buddies is getting traded and I'm worried about this and it's going to affect the way I play. You would have just been able to go out and handle your business. And it probably, if they would have won that game, then I would be talking about a little bit, maybe one last gas playoff push. You still theoretically can, because you can close the gap on Pittsburgh today, and Boston's got an interesting schedule going forward as well, and they didn't really do much at the deadline, but I would say that if you're turning on the Flyers for the first time today, you're just kind of getting it would be kind of, to me, it's an introduction to everything that's been wrong with the team for the last 10 years. That you're going to see the stuck in the middle
question
team.
then.
Yeah. You're going to see the stuck in the middle team that hasn't been able to kind of pick a side of which way they want to go. If they would have sold more yesterday, I would have said it's all about watching these young kids. Maybe they would have decided, like, if Ristolainen gets traded, maybe they would have decided, let's get Juracek up here right away. And then you're excited to see 2 new players that you didn't have who are prospects. Instead, you got 1, and that's something, but there's still a lot, it's still a lot of the same pieces, and people who have been watching or who checked out 5 years ago are going to come back and go, oh yeah, Sean Couturier's still here, and Travis Danheim's still here, and oh, they still have a goalie problem, and it's still all the same narratives.
He's Kevin Durso, our Flyers insider. 973ESPN.com is where you catch all of his Flyers coverage at Kevin_Durso on the X platform. And he joined us right here on Hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City on 97.3 ESPN. Kevin, great stuff. By the way, 5:30 tonight, Flyers Penguins on our sister station, Rock 104.1 and the Rock 104.1 mobile app. Do not want to forget to have that pushed in there. Kevin, great stuff today. Appreciate you jumping on.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks.
Josh Hennig with Mike Carlin, Hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget my friends over at Prevail Nutrition, South Jersey's #1 meal prep service. Prevail Nutrition is the people you need to go to make sure that you just simplify your life. Having you remember to lunch and dinner and prepare food, it's just such a pain at times, especially when you're someone like me who literally forgets to get sleep sometimes.
And a little bit on the go, just a little bit.
A little bit on the go. Me, go to Prevail. Food delivered to you, Atlantic, Cumberland counties, plus Ocean City. PrevailNutrition.club. Free orders of $50 or more, or you can pick it up in Absecon Mondays and Fridays. PrevailNutrition.club. Be like me. Simplify your life with great food. Josh Hennig along with Mike Carlin, Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Here's Maxey driving the ball, skids to a stop. Here's VJ Edgemcomb for 3, and it's in! Edgemcomb a clutch 3!
It's Sixers Hawks tonight. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
Tired of cooking and planning all of your meals each and every day? You need Prevail Nutrition to simplify your life. For almost a decade, Prevail Nutrition is a local meal prep company located in South Jersey that allows customers to design their own meal plan. Or you can choose from a wide variety of chef-designed meals on their weekly changing Prevail Selects menu. You can order online for pickup or get free delivery on orders of over $50. Prevail Nutrition delivers to Atlantic and Cumberland counties along with Ocean City. Or you can pick up your meals every Monday and Friday. Learn more about how Prevail Nutrition can simplify your life. Visit their website at PrevailNutrition.club. Check out Prevail Nutrition on Facebook and Instagram. Prevail Nutrition is my go-to choice for prepared meals and food. Order online, like me, at PrevailNutrition.club.
Making your home look brand new is what Work of Art Construction can do for you. Ready to remodel your bathroom or have a kitchen makeover? Art Masker has 40 years of experience in construction and knows how to make your home look like a work of art. Want to install a new back deck or invest in a new front door? Just call Art Masker at 609-788-4271 to learn more. Visit Work of Art Construction on Instagram to see how Work of Art Construction can make your home look brand new. Beautify your home with Work of Art. Call him at 609-788-4271 and let them make your home truly a work of art.
50 years from now, will jeans be wide or skinny? Will email still exist? Will guac still be extra? One thing is certain. If you won the new Millionaire for Life from the New Jersey Lottery today, you'd still be getting $1 million every year for life. That's enough money to say, bring it on, the future. I will have that guacamole at any price.
Play the new Millionaire for Life today. Anything can happen in Jersey. Must be 18 or older to buy a lottery ticket. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hi, I'm
Maria, salon owner. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. There's only one FDA-approved Ozempic, made by Novo Nordisk. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5, 1, and 2 milligrams.
Need a new car and have no idea. It's gotta be a matte black Kia.
Spring out of your old car and spring into a new matte black Kia for less. 26 matte black Kia Sportage LX, just $129 per month. 26 matte black Kia K5 GT line, just $139 per month. All new 2027 matte black Kia Telluride, $339 per month. Drive now and pay later with 0 payments for 90 days. Plus, we'll pay you up to $3,000 over Kelley Blue Book fair market value for any trade in any condition. Have a job clearing $450 per week? Matte Black Kia wants to get you approved today. We sell more, so you save more.
Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike,
Egg Harbor Township, or matteblackkia.com.
Need a new car and have no idea. It's gotta be a matte black Kia.
24-month leases, $59.99 to its signing. Call 888-506-4132 for details. Interest accrues from date of purchase on select models. Offers don't combine. Expires month end.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
Trust is earned. That's why I've stuck with Straight Talk. Same price since 2009 on Verizon's 5G network. Cause shoot, anyone can make a promise. Keeping it for years, that means something.
Now plans starting at $25 a month with 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Same price claim applies only to the base monthly price of our $45 plan from October 2009 to present.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. Have you checked out the most loved Indian restaurant in South Jersey? The Nizam's Indian Restaurant on Route 40 in Egg Harbor Township is amazing and ready to serve you delicious Indian dishes. NJ.com ranked them the #2 best restaurant in all of New Jersey. At Nizam's, they believe that dining is more than just great food. It's the whole experience. The Nizam's open 7 days a week from 11:30 a.m. to 9:30. Join them for a special lunch buffet on Sundays from 11:30 to 3. Visit thenizams.com for more information.
Now back to Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
I don't want them to gain another yard.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
You blitz all night.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live from Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. And, well, the reason we're here is because the event is finally here. Boxing Insider Promotions is back here on 97.3 ESPN. And joining me right now is Larry Goldberg, the promoter. Larry, welcome to your show.
Welcome to Hanging with right now, guys, I am hanging with Hennig.
You are hanging with Hennig.
You were listening, but I am actually hanging with Hennig here at the lovely Tropicana here in beautiful Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Beautiful Atlantic City, exactly. First of all, this is I want to mention again, this is your 7th one of these events. So, in and of itself, now that we are actually on fight night, for those who don't know, Larry and I talk throughout the year. So, this is the first time I'm asking you this, but I'm going to ask you on the radio now. This is your 7th one. How are you feeling?
Well, Josh, this is actually my 20th one.
Well, 7th one at Tropicana Showroom.
In October 2022, I just rolled the dice in New York City and said, I want to be a boxing promoter. And we were doing these shows in Times Square. In May 11th, 2024, on a whim, I came to Atlantic City. I met my 2 favorite people down here, Hanging with Hennig and Justin Figueroa. And we came to Tropicana and we did our first show and our second show. And this is show number 7. And the answer is, how am I feeling? This is the calmest I've ever been on a fight week.
Well, that's saying something in itself.
I mean, this is just, the casino is wonderful. The State Athletic Commission was wonderful. The fighters are wonderful. We have 6 fights tonight. There's going to be at least 1 or 2 upsets. The female fight, Leah Lewandowski and Indea Smith. Leah goes to where is she? Drexel. She was from Drexel, and she was Berlin, New Jersey.
Berlin, New Jersey. Yep.
And I don't have my notes in front of me, so excuse me. And
I'm here to help.
She's fighting Indea Smith. This is a real fight. This fight next Sunday, Monday, will be viral in the female boxing world. We have coming here today Avril Matthew, who is was in her division, but she's recently retired.
Okay.
She's going to be doing the commentary tonight. She'll be doing the post-fight interviews. She's great. Mio Yoshida, who has fought on one of my cards. She's the number one ranked for the IBF title. She will be here tonight, coming in to watch the Lewandowski fight as well. So, we have a very, very top female fight. We have Justin Figueroa is in a really, really good fight. They had some words yesterday at the weigh-ins.
Saw that.
It was, it's going to be a good fight. We've got Jacob Solis is in a very good fight from New York. Julio Sanchez from Pleasantville is in a interesting fight. Now this is kind of cool. I told you early on we were going to do the community thing.
Right.
Julio hits me up. We have the Pleasantville drummer, the drummers from the marching band.
The marching band.
So
yeah.
I just had did it with the ticket office. We've got 20 kids from the Pleasantville High School are coming in. They're going to be playing the drums and bringing this kid to the ring. The Atlantic City, they have taken some tickets. The Pals come in force. This is going to be a fun community event, and I hope everyone can kind of come out and support community boxing. We have some of the best fighters in New Jersey and New York on this card.
And I think that's the key. What I've been saying for weeks now, which is it's you're not just coming out to watch boxing. You're coming out to, number one, watch local fighters who are on the come up, who are good. These are not like tomato cans. Okay. Number two, so many boxing events, and this is my beef. Why I've been saying this is the first action-packed fight card 2026. I know in the most literal sense there have been other events in the city, but I don't care, because what you do, Larry, is you actually put fighters in there who are actually not going to hug each other for about 5 rounds. You actually see action when you come to a Boxing Insider Promotions event.
Well, I will say this about the other events in Atlantic City. When we came here in 2024, Atlantic City was a desert, a vast ghost town of boxing. There'd be 1, 2 a year. The only thing that kept boxing going in Atlantic City was our friends Ray McCline and the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, who have done an incredible job of preserving the legacy of what Atlantic City boxing was. When we came to town, the Tropicana, which is Caesars, hasn't touched boxing in 7 years. We came back. This is now our 7th fight, and Hard Rock is doing it. Bally's is doing it. Boardwalk Hall has a fight coming. Showboat just did a fight. We're bringing boxing back like we said we were.
Absolutely. Well, again, tonight, Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Tickets are still on sale at Ticketmaster.com, or Tropicana Showroom box office opens at 4 o'clock. Larry, we'll talk soon. We got to go to break now, but I appreciate everything you're doing for boxing in the city.
And we appreciate you, Josh. You're the only honest man on South Jersey radio.
That's a dangerous thing to say.
I was good today.
You were very good. You were good yesterday, too, with Mike Gill on the Sports Bash. Coming up next, we'll talk with MAAC Commissioner Travis Tellitocci, along with Mike Carl and Josh Hennig. Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City, hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM. In the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle, streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studio.
Hey, South Jersey, this is Billy Schweim. Tune into The Locker Room every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN. Each weekend in The Locker Room, you will get passionate sports talk from a fan's perspective, along with interviews with some of the biggest names in sports. That's every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon in The Locker Room with me, Billy Schweim, on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, because nothing could be finer than talking sports with the Schweiner.
Tired of the runaround? Then drive over to Bridgeton Auto Mall, where the savings this month are a slam dunk. We've slashed prices on our massive selection of new and pre-owned vehicles. Whether you need an SUV for the family, a fuel-efficient sedan, or a truck for the job, we've got the perfect deal to help you win big. And our award-winning service department is here for all oil changes, tire rotations, even major repairs. Don't miss your shot. Bridgeton Auto Mall on Pearl Street in Bridgeton, or online at drivebam.com.
We're here with our industry ace for roofing and siding, Iron Shield Roofing and Siding. For those who may not know you, what's your specialty?
We specialize in residential and commercial roofing and siding, including repairs, full replacements, and new installations. Our focus is on protecting homes and businesses with quality workmanship that lasts.
What makes Iron Shield different?
We bring over 30 years of experience. We're family owned and operated and fully licensed and insured. We also offer free inspections and estimates so customers can understand their options before making a decision.
Why is it so important to stay on top of roof and siding maintenance?
Your roof and siding protect everything underneath. Catching small issues early prevents bigger, more expensive problems later and helps maintain your property's value.
Where can people learn more?
Visit our website or give us a call for a free inspection at ironshieldroofingsiding.com, 609-358-3853. That's ironshieldroofingsiding.com, 609-358-3853.
Wendy's has a new Girl Scout Thin Mints Frosty Fusion with Girl Scout Thin Mints cookie pieces, rich creamy frosty, and a mint chocolate cookie sauce. Which means Girl Scout Thin Mints and Wendy's Frosty, yeah, they're basically best friends now. It's like two delicious desserts just high-fived, snapped a few too many friendship selfies, and then rode a tandem bike down a never-ending road of mint chocolate frosty perfection. So, swing by Wendy's and try the new Thin Mints Frosty Fusion.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Winter storms can change the road in an instant. When the unexpected happens, you want the area's top-of-mind high-end collision specialist. Moppert Brothers in Northfield is trusted to restore luxury and performance vehicles to exact factory specifications. Manufacturer certified by Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Ford, Tesla, and Polestar, their team uses advanced equipment and precision craftsmanship to protect your investment. After the storm, choose the name drivers have trusted for decades. Moppert Brothers of Northfield.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles. They got him again! Sixers. Bang! It's good! Ball game! And Flyers. Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
This is Hanging with Hennig. I have friends everywhere. On 97.3 ESPN Radio, South Jersey.
In New Jersey. Am I right? Yeah.
Live feed on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It seems to run on some form of electricity. Well, you're not wrong.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together.
Now, here's your host.
He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig, along with Mike Carlin, broadcasting live at Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. It is a busy weekend here in Atlantic City with the St. Patrick's Day Parade going on. We are here for the fights tonight, thanks to Boxing Insider Promotions, but also Thursday through Tuesday is the new schedule for the MAAC men's and women's basketball tournament. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The women's games every day, the first two of the day, and then the men's games are the last two of the day, and then the championship game, the women is Monday night at 6 p.m., and the men is Tuesday night at 9 p.m. And joining us to talk more about it right now is the commissioner, Travis Tellitocci, joining us here. Josh Hennig, Mike Carlin, Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Commissioner, how you doing today?
Hello?
All right, well, we hear the commissioner. We've had this issue before in the past, so we might need to reconnect with him. So, Alex, why don't you put him on hold real quick, and we'll reconnect with him to get him on, because we have had this problem at times in the past. Mike, talk to you. You were there last night at the MAAC tournament. Tell us a little bit about the what was going on last night.
You can tell when the tournament starts that it's every day it builds. So Thursday when it started, it was fun. Last night it was a little better. Today is going to be great, and then when you get to the Final Four Sunday, it's just takes you to a whole nother level. And then you got the championships Monday and Tuesday. But what I really wanted to get to Travis and tell him about is that since he's taken over in the last year was his first year, and now this year, you can tell how this tournament is getting better every year. He's taking another step. And it's just little things that mean a lot. You know, whether you're walking in as a player and they roll out the red carpet for him. I mean, you feel like you're walking into a big time tournament right here in Atlantic City, but it's just first class, the signage everywhere. They have gourmet dining now if you want to really take it to the next step and you're there. But the basketball itself, for South Jersey people to have this kind of form right in your backyard, you are missing out if you're not here. And it's one of these tournaments that if you come and just see a game or two, you're going to come the next day, or you're going to be talking about, I can't wait to get, see all the games next year. But it's really something. And the basketball itself is extremely fast. You're seeing really college players, and people may say, yeah, but it's the MAAC. Let me tell you something about the MAAC. 2 years ago, you had Walter Clayton, who was the player of the year for the MAAC. Okay, where was he last year? University of Florida. Who was the MVP of the tournament? Walter Clayton.
Right.
They have players that leave now with the NIL. They have players that stay here for a year or two, and then the big, say the super conferences, they just steal them from these kids. So the competition is really there. And that same player, Walter Clayton, now it was a first-round pick in the NBA.
Well, I think that's a big part of the conversation, Mike, is the fact that you're talking about athletes who they are real talented basketball players. These are not like, run-of-the-mill guy you might see, at, no offense, certain high schools, but certain high schools, the talent is just not there.
It's
right?
just not, yeah.
The MAAC is a level of competition that is going to give you a higher quality of basketball than you're probably going to get in many other places. And I think that's one of the beauties of the MAAC coming to Atlantic City, is that you're getting the winner of the tournament, Mount St. Mary last year. You had St. Peter's a couple of years ago in their deep run.
Made their run.
You have these schools that have made an impact, that have done really well, when they get to the tournament. So this is quality basketball, and we encourage people to come out to the MAAC. Again, the two men's games are 6 p.m. and 8:30 tonight and tomorrow. Today is who? Siena versus Mount St. Mary, and who else?
Quinnipiac and Marist.
And of course, the women play the earlier in the day as well, as we are trying to reconnect with Travis. We're trying to reconnect with him to join us here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig along with Mike Carlin, hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City.
And the other thing I'll jump in, Josh, that I saw, there's a lot of local players, whether it's female or male. You got a lot of players from Jersey. You got a lot of players from Pennsylvania, especially from the Philadelphia area. So you got a lot of local people in the stands. They get to see a family member play right in front of them in the big atmosphere of the Atlantic City Boardwalk Hall. It's really a special time, and you almost feel for the players when they lose, especially if they're a senior, because a lot of them, this is it. This is their last game. And you can feel it as they're walking off the court. And the setting for the basketball itself, with the seating, Josh, you can walk in and say, I want the worst ticket in the world, and you're going to be 50 yards from the court watching the basketball. It's really just, you got to come down. We say this every year. The people that listen, they all say, hey, thanks, Mike, for telling me about it. I can't wait till the tournament comes back again, because you were right. It's just a great time from the time you walk in to the time you leave, if you're a basketball fan.
For you, Mike, what is your favorite part of the MAAC tournament at Boardwalk Hall? Because you're a basketball junkie. You're someone who just loves basketball at your core.
I love seeing teams that I'm tired of seeing the teams on TV all the time. I don't need to see Michigan and Duke and all that. They're great games, don't get me wrong. But it's like any sport. Isn't it always better when it's live, when it's right in front of you?
Yes.
And when you see these players that aren't making millions of dollars in NIL, that are there really for the focus that they just love the sport and they're trying to get an education out of it at the same time, that's what I really love. And I also love knowing that there's always a player or two, like last night with the player of the year from, was it Merrimack? Kennedy is a freshman from Father Judge from Philadelphia. And he just literally put on a show last night. And to know that, hey, there's probably a good chance that they probably don't want to hear this, but he may not be in the MAAC next year or the year after that. He may go to a bigger conference. And he's the kind of kid that in 3-4 years, you could say, oh my God, he's in the NBA. I remember when we saw him play in Atlantic City. There's always those gems that come out down the line. And you get to see, now this is my 5th year coming. It's amazing how many people you see. I've become really good friends with the AD from Mount St. Mary's. Came right up to me last night. We were talking basketball, and we were talking about his run last year. And I remember I pulled him to the side right away and I said, what was it really like, though? And he was like, Mike, I'll never forget it. Just going to the dance. And what people don't know, what the players have to go through, They got back to the school at like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
At 2 o'clock in the morning, his phone's blowing up from his insider saying, hey, we got to be at the airport at 7 o'clock in the morning. That means we got to leave at 5. That's a 3-hour difference.
It's huge difference.
And he goes, we had to fly to Dayton. We played the game in Dayton.
Right.
The play-in, they won. As soon as that game ended, they jumped right on another plane. They're going down to Dallas. I mean, but he said, with all that being said, it was the best time of his life and the players, and that's all he cared about.
I remember after Mount St. Mary's won. So that weekend, because so last year was on a Saturday, was the championship game. And I was actually happened to be in the same hotel as a lot of the Mount St. Mary people were staying in that weekend. And I remember just the euphoric joy, but then also at the same time, you heard a lot of the kids saying, we gotta get out of here. Like we gotta go pack up. Like, because I'm standing in line waiting to get some food for myself, and the Mount St. Mary kids are like, we gotta get out of here. Like we can't wait in line for this food.
Yeah, we gotta roll. The bus is rolling, and we gotta get back.
So it is really a one of a kind experience as we are trying to connect with Travis Tellitocci, the MAAC commissioner here on Hanging with Hennig, Josh Hennig, Mike Carlin, hanging out on 97.3 ESPN. Anybody watching on the YouTube and X platforms, we apologize. We've been working through some technical issues throughout the show. I fixed one problem, and I kind of fixed the other problem. So I'm troubleshooting as I'm hosting a radio show, and as we're Alex and I are trying to get the commissioner on board. The other part of the thing with the MAAC tournament in Atlantic City is I think people who don't go to events a lot at Boardwalk Hall forget about the sight lines. That the sight lines at Boardwalk Hall, I mean, obviously, if you can get courtside, seating, it's amazing. But sitting in, the second level or the lower bowl,
You're mostly
still,
everybody's in the lower bowl.
You're still getting a great view of a highly competitive basketball game.
Absolutely. And the other thing I would say is that the one thing I've noticed that I talked to Travis about this, and we're going to work on this from the time this tournament ends to next year. We have to get our local high school, middle school basketball, female and male teams here. And if that means we give them discounts to get in the building, we got to get the kids in here where the kids go home and say to the parents, hey, I know we went today, but I want to go back tomorrow, kind of thing. We got to get them involved.
All right, we got the commissioner, MAAC Commissioner Travis Tellitocci, joining us right now on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. We jumped through the hoops. We made it happen. Commissioner, we appreciate your flexibility. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We're doing good. We were talking about before you came on about, one of the amazing things about the MAAC each and every year is that this is not just some random basketball game. These are highly competitive games. And, the teams that have won this tournament, Mount St. Mary last year, at St. Peter's a couple of years ago, these teams go in the tournament. They make noise. So when people come to Boardwalk Hall to watch the MAAC tournament, they're seeing high-level, real college basketball going on.
No, and you're absolutely right. And you referenced Mount last year, getting a 16 in the first 4 and then being able to beat American from the Patriot League. Obviously, then had to run up against Duke, which is a little different challenge. But St. Peter's incredible run to the Elite Eight. So I think you see at our level, us as a mid-major punching above our weight. It's a high level of Division I basketball, both on the men's and the women's side. We have a nationally ranked team right now in Fairfield women who are in the top 25 in the country in the AP polls. So I'm hoping that fans will give it a chance, come down to Boardwalk Hall and experience some really good basketball here for the MAAC championship.
Travis, while we're waiting to make the connection to get you on, I was telling the people what an enjoyment it is to come to the Boardwalk Hall and see the MAAC year after year. And I was telling people, and it's nothing against the other commissioner. Please don't take us the wrong way. I want to focus on you, but I can see from the outside that there's a huge bump, and it seems like last year was a great year. Guess what? This year's even better. Just the little things that you notice inside the building, outside the building, the play. I guess what I'm trying to say in a nice way is you and your team are doing all the right things, and we're there to help you to try to get the people out there, because I just can't understand how you can be a basketball fan in South Jersey or the Philadelphia area. when you go through your book, you see all these teams. Well, there's a lot of players from Philadelphia, whether male or female. We're only an hour drive. Okay, we want to make it that this place is hard to get a ticket. That you can get a ticket, but it's going to be hard. You better get it quick. And I think that's just a compliment to you and your team. And just want to say thank you. And also, why don't we explain exactly what's moving forward, because you announced back in October that we signed a new contract.
Well, I appreciate those comments. It's a team effort. It takes a lot of people. And I think that's what we have now is alignment. Obviously, our staff does a phenomenal job in planning this event, but we have alignment now with Visit Atlantic City, and Gary has done an incredible job of putting all of those marketing efforts under one umbrella. We have a great partner in Boardwalk Hall and Jim McDonald. So I feel like we are more aligned than we ever have been before. We came down here in the winter and just met with Gary and Jim and others around the community, the CRDA, and started to brainstorm about how do we continue to grow this event. That's before we announced the extension, but just sat in a room for a couple of hours and threw out ideas and how do we engage people. But I think the 5-year deal is a testament, again, to the commitment that the CRDA, Visit Atlantic City, and Boardwalk Hall has made into the MAAC. We want to make that commitment back. So to your point, Mike, I think, how do we continue to grow this event? How do we get people outside of the Atlantic City footprint, as far as Philadelphia and the surrounding communities, to get involved? Our schedule shift is a big help for us. We're now starting the tournament on Thursday. You were there last night. You saw a buzz last night and more people for a quarterfinal game than we've probably had since we've been here. I think it helps that it's Friday. And again, we're expecting a pretty good crowd tonight, Saturday, and then hopefully that flows to Sunday. Where we really need people's help is coming out on Monday and Tuesday night for our championship. We have the opportunity to be on ESPN2 now. We didn't have that chance in the past. We were on ESPNU going up against the Big East tournament, going up the ACC and the Big 12. We now have a really good slot on prime time on ESPN2, which is an opportunity to showcase not only the MAAC and our member institutions, but it's a good spotlight for Atlantic City. You're the only city in New Jersey, the state of New Jersey, that is hosting a Division I college basketball tournament. So the spotlight is also on Atlantic City as well.
And again, I was saying before, Travis, this is a busy weekend. You got the St. Patrick's Day parade today. We're at the boxing event here at Tropicana Showroom. There's no reason why people can't just come down and make it a weekend of Atlantic City. You got the basketball right down the street. The boxing is here. And then you mentioned the games are going all through Sunday. Championship women's game is Monday night at 6 p.m. Tuesday is the men's game at 9 p.m. So, these are also times when people can get the Boardwalk Hall during the week. I think that was the other important thing that when I talk to people, Travis, which is your schedule Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's very structured. It's the 12, 2:30, 6, 8:30. So now people are having to wonder, what time is it? Where is it? I think that is a great thing as well, that you guys were able to work with ESPN and with Boardwalk Hall to make all that happen.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts on that. But to your point, consistency, I think, is important. You don't have to guess what time the games are from Thursday to Sunday. It is the same across the board. Would I have liked to had an earlier championship slot for the men on Tuesday? Absolutely. I know 9 o'clock is hard, but we're at the mercy of ESPN's television windows on that. So I'm hoping that we can rally some people for the Tuesday night ESPN game. Again, I think it's a good opportunity to not only showcase us, but Atlantic City. So I'm hoping that the women's game, being at 6 o'clock is a little more friendlier time for fans and attendance, that people will come hopefully and watch. I think, we are on a collision course with Quinnipiac and Fairfield. There's some really good teams in between there with MAAC, who's going to play, and Siena Iona playing right now. So it's March. Who knows what happens? But you do have a high caliber of basketball on the women's side as well. I do think, though, our schedule being over the weekend is very enticing for people to make this a destination. And to your point, Josh, come down. Everybody that comes, there's thoughts about Atlantic City, as we all know. But once people get here and experience Boardwalk Hall, the hotels, the entertainment, the restaurants, which are incredible, everybody leaves here saying, you know what, that was a great experience and I want to come back.
Absolutely. Again, so you have the games tonight, 6 p.m., 8:30. I know the women are playing right now the first game, second game at 2:30. And then Sunday, again, 12, 2:30 for the women, 6 p.m., 8:30 for the men for the quarterfinals. in the semis this weekend. And then the championship game for the Monday, again, 6 p.m., Boardwalk Hall. 9 p.m., the men's game Tuesday night, Boardwalk Hall. And, of course, folks can just jump online to the MAAC Hoops website to get your tickets right now. Again, single session, full session tickets. You can get all whatever fancies people, they can get it. Travis, we really appreciate you, kind of finagling to get you on. Technology is a beautiful thing, right? Sometimes it works.
Because he's a busy man, Josh. I saw him last night. He's a busy man.
I got a new iPhone, and I couldn't figure out how to. I consider myself pretty tech savvy, but I couldn't figure this out. So this is a lot easier. It's nice to be able to see you guys instead of being on the phone. But I really want this tournament to be something that everybody in Atlantic City embraces and is proud of, that we have a Division I basketball championship in Atlantic City, and it's something that the community, whether you're in Atlantic City or in Ventnor, Margate, wherever you are in the surrounding communities, that people are proud of this event and really want to make it something special.
Well, Travis, like I said last night, you have our commitment here. Now that we know we're here for the next couple of years, we're going to try to do our best to work as hard as you're working to get the word out. And every year, just get a little, as long as we don't go backwards, get a little better every year. We're going to make sure that we have people from the Philadelphia, South Jersey area getting down here to Boardwalk Hall to watch this great basketball.
Well, I appreciate all of your efforts. It is definitely noticed, and appreciate all that you do to help us promote this for not only the MAAC, but Atlantic City as well.
All right, Commissioner Travis Tellitocci joining us here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Commissioner, we'll let you get back to actually doing the main part of your job.
All good. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
See you tonight. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Josh Hennig, Mike Carlin, Hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live from Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Of course, we are here for Boxing Insider Promotions. The big night, 5 New Jersey fighters in action. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com or at the Tropicana box office. And, of course, coming up on the other side, as promised, our inaugural edition of the Ivy Rehab Injury Report. We're going to talk with Dr. Josh Lamb, who, by the way, is my physical therapist down at Ivy Rehab. His team have been working on me. So, if they can work on me.
I'd like to sit in on that.
You like to sit on that?
I'd like to sit on that.
I'd like to see how that works. Well, listen, Ivy Rehab, we're glad to have them on board. We talked about it and thanked them again for joining last week. And Dr. Josh Lamb is going to talk to us coming up next. Joel Embiid. Now it's an oblique injury. Now it's a rib injury. Which is it? You got VJ Edgecomb's latest injury. We'll get into the Sixers' latest injury, because there's always a Sixers injury to talk about here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank and CIL. And we are streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. Looking for a great happy hour or night out with friends and family? Hangtime Bar and Grill, located on the White Horse Pike in Galloway, has live music every Tuesday night, DJ Bingo every Wednesday night, and check out their 30 TVs to watch your favorite team play any time of year. Enjoy all the college basketball tournament action in March with food and drink specials at the main bar, or check out their new private back deck patio. Plus, you can watch all the madness with Hanging with Hennig broadcasting live at Hangtime Bar and Grill in Galloway on March 21st. Check out Hangtime Bar and Grill on Facebook and Instagram to learn more about their weekly specials and one of the best happy hours in South Jersey on the White Horse Pike in Galloway at Hangtime Bar and Grill.
Making your home look brand new is what Work of Art Construction can do for you. Ready to remodel your bathroom or have a kitchen makeover? Art Masker has 40 years of experience in construction and knows how to make your home look like a work of art. Want to install a new back deck or invest in a new front door? Just call Art Masker at 609-788-4271 to learn more. Visit Work of Art Construction on Instagram to see how Work of Art Construction can make your home look brand new. Beautify your home with Work of Art. Call him at 609-788-4271 and let them make your home truly a work of art.
Need a new car and have no idea. It's gotta be a matte black Kia.
Spring out of your old car and spring into a new matte black Kia for less. 26 matte black Kia Sportage LX, just $129 per month. 26 matte black Kia K5 GT line, just $139 per month. All new 2027 matte black Kia Telluride, $339 per month. Drive now and pay later with 0 payments for 90 days. Plus, we'll pay you up to $3,000 over Kelly Blue Book fair market value for any trade in any condition. Have a job clearing $450 per week? Matt Black Kia wants to get you approved today. We sell more, so you save more.
Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike,
Egg Harbor Township, or mattblackkia.com.
Need a new car and have no idea. It's gotta be a matte black Kia.
24-month leases, $59.99 to its signing. Call 888-506-4132 for details. Interest accrues from date of purchase on select models. Offers don't combine. Expires month end.
Hi, I'm Chef Franklin Becker. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. There's only one FDA-approved Ozempic made by Novo Nordisk. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5, 1, and 2 milligrams.
If your bracket doesn't turn you into a millionaire, the New Jersey Lottery's new game, Millionaire for Life, just might. Catch all the college basketball tournament coverage on 97.3 ESPN. Brought to you by the New Jersey Lottery's Millionaire for Life. Hop in a John Deere Gator XUV for a day's work. Let's see what's on the to-do list. There goes the tree. And the fence. Not a problem. Because you've got a cargo box filled with solutions. Up to 4,000 pounds of towing capacity, and you're ready to roll.
The power's out!
Here we go again. The Gator XUV, built for every kind of workday. Learn more at johndeere.com/Gator XUV. Nothing runs like a deer.
Journey down winding roads to the Piccalilli Inn, a special place in the Pines where time slows, friends meet, and the wings are legendary. Make your family tradition a part of theirs. The Piccalilli Inn, Route 206, Chemung, New Jersey. Visit piccalilli.com.
With other language learning apps, I was just playing games. I wasn't really learning. Babbel's different.
Babbel was designed by over 200 language learning experts to be the most effective way to learn another language.
Every time I open the app, I can choose to work on my writing, speaking, or listening. And it saves my mistakes for me to review, so I'm constantly improving. Before Babbel, I thought I just wasn't good with languages. But now I'm speaking French. Tout ça, c'est grâce à Babbel.
Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
For over 135 years, First Bank of Sea Isle City has proudly served Cape May County with a commitment to maintaining a hometown feel. We provide secure, convenient deposit and loan products every day. We're more than just a bank. We're a trusted community partner, offering personalized banking solutions that make life easier for local families of all ages. First Bank of Sea Isle City. Look for our lighthouse in your neighborhood and discover what makes us different.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You're hanging with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
I want my picks back. I want David Putnam.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
All my picks back, and I want David Putnam just because I feel like it.
You're out of your mind.
Yeah, I am. Haven't I proved that already?
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live from Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City for Boxing Insider Promotions. Fight night tonight, of course. 5 New Jersey fighters in action tonight. Holy Spirit High School graduates Justin Figueroa and Josh Popper, along with Manalapan Township's John Leonardo, Berlin, New Jersey's Leo Lewandowski, and Pleasantville High School's Julio Sanchez, all in action. Of course, tickets are still on sale. Ticketmaster.com. The box office for Tropicana Showroom will open at 4 p.m. today. Joining us right now, the inaugural edition of the Ivy Rehab Injury Report. Ivy Rehab with over 18 locations around South Jersey. And joining us right now to talk about the latest 76ers injuries is, he actually happens to be my doctor as well, Dr. Josh Lamb from Ivy Physical Rehab. Dr. Josh, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Josh. So great to be here. I appreciate you taking the time and excited to talk about some of these injuries and hopefully shed some light on what's going on with some of these players and how they can hopefully get back to the court as soon as possible.
So we're going to start with Joel Embiid because obviously he is like the ongoing butt of jokes, basically. The guy's always injured. It's always something with him. And for those who don't know, the news just came out that he will not play tonight. So he is now going to be reevaluated this weekend. And Dr. Josh Lamb, I want to ask you because, you know, what's interesting is that they initially listed him with a strained right oblique, but previously it was bruised ribs. So can you talk about what is the difference between a strained oblique and bruised ribs? Because I feel like there's some nuance there that maybe people might not understand.
Yeah, and it is somewhat of a subtle difference, to be honest. So if you see the injury, how it occurred, he was kneed in the side during play, And that for most healthcare professionals, we would immediately start thinking a contusion or a bruising type injury. It was right towards his ribs. So they would take him back. They would evaluate him. They would do what's called palpation, where they feel around, kind of trying to feel where is the pain coming from. And then they're also going to be doing some, muscle activation tests, selective tissue tensioning, we call it, in order to kind of assess where is this pain coming from, what exactly was injured. So those initial on-court, on-site assessments, they would think, okay, based on the mechanism of injury, how it happened, where he was hit, and where we're feeling that pain, their initial thought seemed to be that there was a rib bruise. But then when they did further assessment medically, they took him back, they did MRI, is my understanding, that would show a little bit more detail of where the inflammation is settling in. Now, inflammation is a normal and required and necessary part of the healing process. There are what we call stages of healing, where it progresses from the inflammatory stage to the proliferation stage to the maturing or remodeling stage. So that inflammatory phase is where we would expect the body to send inflammatory chemicals, immune system cells to go in and try to clean up the area and start preparing for that healing process. And so they're going to see on that MRI where it's kind of lighting up and where they're seeing that inflammation take place. And it seemed to them, based on the radiology report, that was more in the muscle itself. Now, there are two oblique muscles on each side of the torso. There's what's called the internal oblique and the external oblique. The external oblique goes up higher. It goes up to about ribs 5 down to rib 12, and it's going to create a lot more rotational movements. That's going to be your power. That's going to be your movement muscle, flexing the trunk, rotation, very important for basketball for these players. And then there's the internal oblique muscle. Now those ones insert a little lower, just down more towards ribs 10 to 12. Internal, more of a core stability muscle. That's going to be an important muscle as far as back pain, as far as stabilizing the core and protecting the spine, things like that. Where he was kneed, where they felt like the ribs were, it was likely more an external oblique strain injury, which can happen from the impact causing the muscle to recoil, to contract aggressively. Now, these men are so strong. These athletes are so strong that sometimes they can strain their own muscles simply from contracting them so hard. And that seemed to me, based on the mechanism of injury, what likely happened. And some of the differences between the bone bruise and how they would diagnose the oblique strain.
Dr. Lame, it's Michael. Question for you.
Yeah.
Up to a couple of years ago, it used to be if a player didn't want to play, very easily he could say, I'm having lower back pain or I'm having headaches. And there was always something. But listening to you talk now about MRIs and this and that, can they still hide like that? Or is it those days pretty much done that if you're saying you're hurt, they know if you're hurt or not, or you're just saying that kind of thing?
Yeah, there's always going to be a little bit of a subjective component to pain, how people perceive pain, but they can see in the MRI. Now, the MRI wouldn't show microscopic tears, which is typically what we see with a grade 1 sprain. It can show like areas of inflammation and give them clues and hints, plus the palpation, plus how well the muscle's contracting. There may be some visible bruising. I haven't seen any reports that there is. Perhaps there is. I don't know that. But oftentimes with some of the higher grade strains, there would be visible bruising. So these are some things that they could see. But certainly there's definitely a subjective component to pain, how people respond to pain. But my hope is that these players, they want to get back on the court. You know, the 76ers need some wins. They need to get out there and get some of their star players back up. I would imagine that that Joel Embiid wants to get back onto that court and help get some W's for the Sixers.
Talking with Dr. Josh Lamb from Ivy Rehab, the Ivy Rehab Injury Report here. First-class physical therapy care with over 18 locations in South Jersey. So what is the rehab that goes into an oblique injury? Because it is such an injury that maybe most people would never even think of having, but it's one of those, if you've had it, you know it, right?
Yeah, and it can be painful too. You know, any movement of the trunk, especially in athletic type play, can be quite painful. So they're going to be looking at trying to manage that pain as quickly as possible. They may be doing some things like ice and non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, ibuprofen type medications. There's a negative aspect of that, though. They may not want to overdo that because that does inhibit and impair the inflammation process, which, yes, helps reduce pain, helps us feel better in the moment, but it can slow the healing process. Because remember, that inflammatory phase is a necessary and required part of the healing process. And if you slow and delay it too much, that can make it harder to get back to play as soon as possible. So some level of trying to move through some discomfort, some level of trying to activate and engage these muscles under a lighter controlled load to improve circulation, blood flow, flush out waste products, help those cells get in there and start laying down healing and recovery. Now, the beneficial thing is that muscle does tend to heal a little bit faster than bone in general. It's a very, fleshy, it's a very vascular, lots of blood flow type tissue, and it does heal relatively quickly, as opposed to some more connective tissues or bone tissues, which are much more dense, fibrous, hard tissues. It takes a little bit more time to rebuild and remodel and create strength back in them. So after they get the pain under control, they're going to want to start creating movement, creating, whether it's passive range, gentle manual stretching with some of the trainers or therapists, self range of motion, active range of motion, muscle engagement, often starting with isometric contractions in a mid comfortable range that gradually progress to harder and harder contractions. And then once we're able to do this type of strengthening exercises, side bends and crunches and things like that, then start simulating actual play. Now, he may already be to the point where he's doing some practice and doing some play, but it's going to be in a controlled environment where there's less risk of him restraining. And that really is the risk here, is the tissue is temporarily compromised, and likely he is what we call a grade 1 strain, where it could progress to a grade 2, which is a much larger, much more aggressive tear, and that can take even months to heal and recover from. So they want to make sure that they allow the tissue to heal, strengthen back up, and get to play safely as quick as possible, which can take possibly a couple to a few weeks in a grade 1 strain.
Let's switch over to Sixers rookie VJ Edgemcomb. So he sustained what's called a lumbar contusion, a lower back bruise. He got fouled from behind, which we were saying earlier in the show. They probably should have called like a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2, but they didn't, because it's a pretty dangerous play. But either way, what is the differences for you that people need to know about what exactly is involved in a lumbar contusion and what exactly goes into recovering from something like that?
Yeah, it's very interesting when you see it was a pretty interesting foul, the way he was up in the air, turned, fell down on that kind of the right, if I recall, was the right kind of hip, sacrum, pelvis area, right in the low back area. And it was a pretty hard hit. So that's going to cause, impact damage. Contusion would be, what we would call in the medical profession, a bruise. Now, was it a soft tissue bruise? Did it bruise the muscle and the tendon? Was it a bone bruise, which can be a deeper, harder, a little bit more painful, a little bit longer recovery? The way he landed, it certainly looked like he could have some bruising on the pelvis, perhaps the lumbar spine itself, the vertebrae. And a bruise is defined as the blunt force trauma, breaks blood vessels, can cause discoloration, pain, and swelling. And a bone bruise can damage the matrix of the bone, which at a microscopic level, when they did also an MRI for Edgemcomb, they must have ruled out a fracture. I'm making some assumptions. They ruled out a fracture, any kind of dislocation, any kind of muscle strain, sprain injury. Those would be some of the differentials that they'd be looking at. And again, they're seeing that inflammation in the area without physical anatomical breaking of the bone or the other tissues. So similar to the lower grade muscle strain, they're going to want to try to get that pain under control. They're also going to want to be a little bit cautious at first with high impact. They're going to want to allow the bone to work on recovery and remodel from any micro traumas that may have gone through it. Because the last thing they would want is to have a hard impact on that bone, which could then progress into a more true fracture, which would be a much, much longer recovery.
So then, for a guy like VJ Edgemcomb, he's a bouncy athlete. He's explosive. He's dynamic. How can the recovery from this limit him? So for example, a guy might be like, oh, I can come back, but I'm not 100%. Like we saw Jason Tatum last night in the NBA return from an Achilles injury, and he actually missed a dunk last night. It was actually kind of funny. Like he didn't realize I'm not all the way back, right? So for a young player, they kind of recover, right? Those 18, 19-year-olds, they heal a little differently than people who are older. But the athlete might be like, I'm fine. But so how this limit even someone who's an 18, 19-year-old returning to play?
Exactly. And the healthcare professionals, the trainers, the doctors, and certainly the coaching staff as well, they've got to keep in mind the risk to reward ratio of getting someone back potentially too early. There is going to be some impact to play. There's going to be some impaired performance with pain, with stiffness, with tightness as things are healing. But in this situation, the likely biggest danger of going back too early would be to sustain another fall in the same area and suffer a much more significant bone injury, such as a fracture, because of the compromised level of the healing tissue. And so that's the pro and con that they're going to want to weigh. So if he's out there getting back, they need him on the court. They need to, like I said before, to get some of those wins. That will be, I would imagine, with some instruction, some thought of, okay, let's be a little careful. Let's be maybe a little less physical, so we're not getting knocked down and landing on the same area again. But once he's able to handle the pain, once he's able to move through a good range of motion and perform under controlled environment with good technique and good level of play, he should be able to get back on the court, I would think, within probably the next week or so. But with that thought of, okay, let's just be a little extra careful that we don't land on that same spot again, because it can be a couple more weeks before that bone is really, really strong and fully recovered again.
And again, let me remind folks, the Ivy Rehab Injury Report, Josh Hennig, Mike Carlin, the Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic. Talking with Dr. Josh Lamb, Ivy Rehab, first-class physical therapy with over 80 locations in South Jersey. So if someone came to you and they had this type of lower back bruise, maybe someone fell at home, maybe someone was playing basketball, maybe someone was playing basketball at the local rec center, right? What is kind of like the method of, hey, you came to Ivy Rehab, how will we handle this back situation?
Exactly. So yeah, we would get you in. We would do a thorough and efficient physical examination, taking any medical treatments or evaluations that have already been performed into consideration, whether you've had an X-ray or an MRI ruling out any kind of fracture. We would be looking for red flags. We'd be looking for signs of a fracture that might need us to refer you back to a doctor. And we can do direct access and physical therapy in New Jersey. You can come straight to us. You get injured, you fall, you come straight to your physical therapist, and we will know whether you need to see a physician or whether you were able to do direct physical therapy care right away. That way we can get you feeling better as quickly as possible. After that physical evaluation, we would be assessing to see where the limitations are, where the injury is, what's tight, what's hurting, what's become weakened, and what muscles have become impaired or inhibited because of the injury. And then we would do, physical hands-on manual therapy techniques, range of motion, exercise techniques to help get you back as quickly and safely to whatever your goals are, whether it's sport, whether it's work, whether it's hobbies, getting you back to living your best life.
And Dr. Josh Lamb, before we let you go, obviously, the people who know me, like Mike Carlin, want to know what kind of patient I am. Everybody thinks it's hilarious that I actually have bit the bullet and been an adult and actually gone and gotten help. So
have you done your stretching for him?
I did it this morning.
Okay.
I have to do it when I first wake up in the morning.
You're doing your homework. You're doing your home exercises. You're staying on top of it. You come into the clinic, you work hard, and we make it a fun environment. We come, we laugh, we work hard, we get it done. And hopefully you're starting to feel a lot better, Josh, but we certainly love working with you.
Well, certainly the range of motion of my neck has improved greatly since when I first came to you. I remember I could barely turn my neck. And now I actually can turn my neck again. So I'm pretty close to the finish line at this point.
Yeah. Doctor, what I'll say is thank you for explaining it the way that people can understand it. Because sometimes doctors can explain things and it just goes right over our heads. I just want to just say thank you for explaining with Embiid what exactly he's going through, and now we have a better idea of what timeline and what could happen down the road. But just thank you for the way you explain it is perfect for everybody, for our listeners.
Wonderful. I'm so glad to hear it, and you're very welcome. It's been wonderful being with you guys today, and talking about these athletes, and hopefully we'll get them back on the field. On the court as soon as possible.
Or maybe in the field. Who knows? I mean, depending on how the offseason goes for some of the other teams.
Preseason football season. Next week, baseball season.
I'm still thinking about the football season.
you and everyone else, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Josh Lamb joining us from Ivy Rehab, the Ivy Rehab Injury Report here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Dr. Josh, we'll talk soon. Well, I'll see you next week, and then we'll talk next weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Josh Hennig, Mike Carlin, Hanging with Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN, broadcasting live from Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Again, Ivy Rehab with over 18 locations in South Jersey. Best-in-class physical therapy, rehabilitation. They are the best. I go there, Mike Carlin, and other people should go there because, listen, as I get older, I've learned the hard way that, I can't just, rub some dirt on it. I can't just, suck it up, taking some pain medication. You always have the pain medication. And sometimes the pain medication blocks you from being able to fully heal. Well, you would know that if you didn't have a doctor like Dr. Josh Lamb explaining to you, be like, hey, don't take the ibuprofen or the Tylenol or whatever you're prescribed to take unless you absolutely need it. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why you need to go somewhere like Ivy Rehab, because they're going to explain to you, hey, do this, don't do this. That was too much. For example, one of the exercises I do from home, I did a little too much. I did a little too hard, and they were like, hey, let me
pull stuff.
I didn't pull anything, but I did it a little, overextended myself. And they explained, like, this is how you do it without, overextending yourself. And it's because of that, I am almost 100% again. And you could be like me and get the best care possible. Ivy Rehab, again, best-in-class physical therapy with over 18 locations in South Jersey. And each and every week here on 97.3 ESPN, we will have the Ivy Rehab Injury Report Saturdays here on Hanging with Hennig, 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios at Josh Hennig. We'll check back on the text board coming up on the other side. Alex Berard is producing back in the studio. Mike Carlin joining me here. Tropicana Showroom for Boxing Insider Promotions. Not one, not two, but 5 New Jersey fighters in action tonight here in Atlantic City.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Here's Maxey driving the ball, skids to a stop. Here's VJ Edgemcomb for 3, and it's in! Edgemcomb a clutch 3!
It's Sixers Hawks tonight. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
Tired of cooking and planning all of your meals each and every day? You need Prevail Nutrition to simplify your life. For almost a decade, Prevail Nutrition is a local meal prep company located in South Jersey that allows customers to design their own meal plan. Or you can choose from a wide variety of chef-designed meals on their weekly changing Prevail Selects menu. You can order online for pickup or get free delivery on orders of over $50. Prevail Nutrition delivers to Atlantic and Cumberland counties along with Ocean City. Or you can pick up your meals every Monday and Friday. Learn more about how Prevail Nutrition can simplify your life. Visit their website at prevailnutrition.club. Check out Prevail Nutrition on Facebook and Instagram. Prevail Nutrition is my go-to choice for prepared meals and food. Order online, like me, at prevailnutrition.club.
For 23 years, we've helped athletes at all levels at Clemic Performance Method, from youth to pros, increase maximum velocity, acceleration, vertical leaps, and general physical preparedness. We offer youth, high school, and pro college classes. Our proven results have earned national recognition from NFL coaches, sponsors, and a feature on ESPN Radio's Sports Science segment. You can contact me directly at 609-742-6190, or as always, visit us on our website, clemicperformancemethod.com.
Tired of the runaround? Then drive over to Bridgeton Auto Mall, where the savings this month are a slam dunk. We've slashed prices on our massive selection of new and pre-owned vehicles. Whether you need an SUV for the family, a fuel-efficient sedan, or a truck for the job, we've got the perfect deal to help you win big. And our award-winning service department is here for all oil changes, tire rotations, even major repairs. Don't miss your shot. Bridgeton Auto Mall on Pearl Street in Bridgeton, or online at drivebam.com.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. Have you checked out the most loved Indian restaurant in South Jersey? The Nizam's Indian Restaurant on Route 40 in Egg Harbor Township is amazing and ready to serve you delicious Indian dishes. NJ.com ranked them the #2 best restaurant in all of New Jersey. At Nizam's, they believe that dining is more than just great food. It's the whole experience. The Nizam's open 7 days a week from 11:30 a.m. to 9:30. Join them for a special lunch buffet on Sundays from 11:30 to 3. Visit thenizams.com for more information.
Broadly's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. The name you know, the service you trust.
Broadly's has you covered in every season. Join their family comfort plan for priority service, annual tune-ups, and extra repair savings. For a limited time, take advantage of $500 off a full system replacement, plus up to $2,650 in utility rebates. Call 609-390-3907 or visit broadleys.net.
The name you know, the service you trust.
With other language learning apps, I was just playing games. I wasn't really learning. Babbel's different.
Babbel was designed by over 200 language learning experts to be the most effective way to learn another language.
Every time I open the app, I can choose to work on my writing, speaking, or listening. And it saves my mistakes for me to review, so I'm constantly improving. Before Babbel, I thought I just wasn't good with languages. But now I'm speaking French. Tout ça, c'est grâce à Babbel.
Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
The road to a championship ends in Atlantic City as the 2026 Air Force Reserve Men's and Women's Basketball Championships take over historic Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall, March 5th through the 10th. It's the 7th straight year the MAAC brings championship hoops to the boardwalk, featuring the conference's top 10 men's and women's teams. The Women's Championship tips off Monday, March 9th, and the Men's Championship goes live nationwide on ESPN or ESPN2 Tuesday, March 10th. Get tickets at maxsports.com/basketball.
You're hanging with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
People will come, Ray.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
People will most definitely come.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live from Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City, presented by Boxing Insider Promotions. The next action-packed fight card, the 7th that Larry Goldberg has brought to Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City, is tonight with undefeated Holy Spirit High School graduate Justin Figueroa back in action, along with undefeated heavyweight prospect Josh Popper, also a Holy Spirit High School graduate, plus rising women's star in boxing Leah Lewandowski is in action tonight, Pleasantville High School graduate Julio Sanchez III, and Manalapan Township's John Body Shots Leonardo, all in action tonight. Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Tickets are still on sale, Ticketmaster.com, or you can go to the box office here at the showroom when they open after 4 p.m. Don't forget about my friends sponsoring Hanging with Hennig is Caesars Sportsbook, the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. The action's heating up on the court, and there's no better time to start betting like a Caesar. Every bet during the tournament earns you perks on hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. What are you waiting for? Download the app using promo code RADIO, DYW, and place your first bet of $1 or more for your chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. Rule your play with Caesars Sportsbook. Open to new users in New Jersey are 21 or older. Max bet $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $2,500 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, well, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Mike Carlin had to, he only was able to hang out with us for part of the show here, Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN, but I am still out here at the showroom, hanging out with you. Alex Berard is back in the 97.3 ESPN studios. As we, I do want to say again, I am thankful to the people who have helped me when we got here. It was kind of a, well, we didn't walk into the most ideal situation, and we have really made do here and kind of brought everything together here at Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City, getting you ready for the boxing event tonight here. Of course, again, doors open at 6:30. The box office is going to open at 4 p.m. if you're still looking to get your hands on tickets for Boxing Insider Promotions tonight. Again, also Ticketmaster.com. I did say I wanted to check back on the text board, 609-403-0973. We opened the show, talk about the Eagles and the Sixers and the Flyers, who've been hitting on a lot of different topics throughout the show today. So I did not want to overlook the people who texted in a little bit earlier at 609-403-0973. Texter didn't leave their name, says Josh. I tend to disagree with what Mike Carlin was saying in regards to what the owner said to him at the end of the year. You can't tell me that some of those drops, if not all of them, might have been either intentional. I don't want the guy here anymore. If he's that temperamental, that much of a brat, I'd rather have another receiver than A.J. Brown. Again, it's anonymous texture to the text board at 609-403-0973. 0973, which is ironic because then the very next text we got was from Joey D. in Ventnor, who Joey D understands, he gets the show, right? He leaves his name on the text board. He says, keep A.J. Brown. He's not a problem, and there's no real replacement. I agree. A new offensive scheme and staff will be fine. I tend to fall in between both of you guys because of the fact that I look at A.J. Brown's drops. I look at his attitude, his not fully running routes, his complaining, his very strange inability to communicate in a healthy way with his coworkers. And listen, from what I understand, and all the reports out there, AJ Brown has a great relationship with his teammates. His teammates love him, but I'm sure they don't love having to answer questions about him. And I think that's really where the rub is. It's not that, I hate AJ Brown. It's that, to me, if A.J. Brown is dropping passes, if A.J. Brown is going to be a malcontent, right? This idea that, A.J. Brown, when A.J. Brown went on Micah Parsons' podcast and said that Kevin Matullo is a great guy and did a great job, that was a clear sign to me that A.J. Brown has a disconnect with reality because no one in their right mind thinks Kevin Matullo did a great job, okay? There's no one in their right mind who looks at it that way. So apparently A.J. Brown has a personal bias where he loves Kevin Matullo so much. So that's a problem. If you don't have the wherewithal and the critical thinking to be able to have those open conversations where it'd be like, look, the offense is not running efficiently, that's a problem. Now, Joey Diamender's right. There is no obvious replacement for him. And I can sit here and give you all kinds of names in the draft and free agency who could be options. But the reality is, yes, in the most literal sense, there is no obvious, clear, and concise option to replace A.J. Brown. Are there guys in the draft who I think would fit the role? Absolutely. Are there people in free agency who could maybe be a part of the system? Look, the Packers the last 2 years where Sean Mannion, the new offensive coordinator, is coming from, they didn't have a number one receiver. They had a bunch of number two receivers all getting opportunities, and they made that offense work at a pretty high level that was built around a running game with Josh Jacobs. Well, what the Eagles have? They have Saquon Barkley. And if you say, Romeo Doubs is a free agent. Romeo Doubs with Sean Mannion in Green Bay. What if you traded A.J. Brown, brought in Romeo Doubs, and then drafted a wide receiver like a Chris Bell from Louisville or a Denzel Boston from Washington, someone who can be that dynamic physical presence? Then maybe it's less about replacing A.J. Brown literally, and it's about customizing the offense around new personnel because you have a coordinator who's going to put those guys in a better position to be successful because the last guy who had the job just didn't know what he was doing. We'll have more NFL talk coming on next with Sporting News NFL writer Andy McNamara joining us here, hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Boxing Insider Promotions, 7th fight card here at Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. 5 New Jersey fighters in action. You do not want to miss out on the action-packed fight card tonight. Again, ticket office downstairs opens at 4. Doors open at 6:30. Come on down, watch some great fights, support local fighters here in South Jersey. Josh Hennig, third hour coming up next here on 97.3 ESPN.
Phillies opening day is almost here. Join us Thursday, March 26th at the Anchorage in Summers Point for an opening day watch party. And you have a chance to win a trip to see the Phillies take on the Orioles at Camden Yards this summer. Listen for our famous contest sounder starting this Monday to enter. You must be present to win. Opening day at the Anchorage. Catch the game. Win the trip. Let's go, Phil.
Listen up. The soap you shower with? It's you probably haven't even questioned what bar of soap you lather up with. Let's face it, most guys don't. But now you can upgrade your shower game with Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. I'm talking about natural, nourishing, cold-pressed, hand-cut soap for men. Men who use their hands. Men who build things. Men who catch foul balls without spilling their beer. You won't just smell good either. Your skin will be healthier and more nourished. We make our soaps with natural ingredients from the earth. Ingredients like oils, plants, goat's milk, Greek yogurt, oatmeal, shea butter, and citrus. Turn your shower game up to 11. Get ready to step out of the shower feeling alive.
Hey, this is Josh Hennig. Go to my social media and click my exclusive Dr. Squatch link for your chance to save $10 off your next order of great natural soap, deodorant, and much more. Only with Dr. Squatch.
Welcome to guided meditation. Close your eyes. You're at the beach. The seagulls are calling. You take out your iPhone 16e you got from Cricket and use Apple Intelligence to clean up that selfie you just took. It's a good one. You send it to your friends instantly thanks to reliable nationwide 5G. They're totally jealous. Get iPhone 16e for $49.99 when you switch. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new line on the Supreme Unlimited plan. First service charge and tax due at sale. $25 activation fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See store for details.
We're here with our industry ace for roofing and siding, Iron Shield Roofing and Siding. For those who may not know you, what's your specialty?
We specialize in residential and commercial roofing and siding, including repairs, full replacements, and new installations. Our focus is on protecting homes and businesses with quality workmanship that lasts.
What makes Iron Shield different?
We bring over 30 years of experience. We're family owned and operated and fully licensed and insured. We also offer free inspections and estimates so customers can understand their options before making a decision.
Why is it so important to stay on top of roof and siding maintenance?
Your roof and siding protect everything underneath. Catching small issues early prevents bigger, more expensive problems later and helps maintain your property's value.
Where can people learn more?
Visit our website or give us a call for a free inspection at ironshieldroofingsiding.com, 609-358-3853. That's ironshieldroofingsiding.com, 609-358-3853.
South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Finally! This is Hanging with Hennig.
I have friends everywhere.
On 97.3 ESPN Radio, South Jersey.
In New Jersey. Am I right? Yeah.
Live feed on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It seems to run on some form of electricity.
Well, you're not wrong.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together.
Now, here's your host.
He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Josh Hennig.
Hour 3 of Hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live from Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City here for Boxing Insider Promotions. We've been telling you about this event for weeks, and the moment is here. The time is now. The night is here. We are broadcasting live from Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City for the fights tonight. 5 New Jersey fighters. These are some of the best rising prospects, rising stars in boxing, and you can see them right here in Atlantic City, Tropicana Showroom. Tickets are still on sale, Ticketmaster.com, or you can go downstairs to the Tropicana box office. I was told it was open to 4 o'clock today, and the doors will be opening after 6:30 p.m. First fight is scheduled to start at 7:30. We'll get back right now to the NFL conversation that we were having in the last hour. Joining us, as he does each and every week here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. Friend of mine, Andy McNamara, Sporting News NFL writer, host of the Sick podcast. Andy, welcome in. How you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good, Josh. I wish I was in the area, man. I want to check out that boxing. Oh, that sounds like a heck of a card.
Well, you know, it's one of those things where I was saying earlier, Andy, you know, and you and I have both been around, you know, this, shall we call it, world, the sports world,
the sports biz
for a while. Yeah. And you know as well as I do that, you know, a lot of times, you know, you go to an event and there's always like the kind of like the, oh, roll your eyes. We got to get through this part of the event, you know, the schedule. But the great thing about Boxing Insider Promotions is that every fight is, you know, just jam-packed with action. There's not a bunch of tomato cans fighting. It's almost always, you know, a throwdown or a knockout or just a great fight. It keeps you entertained. And the cool part is it's also local fighters. These are all local fighters who are from the area. We got 5 of the 6 matches tonight are all local fighters. So nice. In the 6th one, he's from New York City. So it's
close. And what I like about this too, Josh, is these are boxers on the way up. So you're not having, these fake, Jake Paul fights where you're hanging around. These fighters are working to get to the next level. It's like the college football angle. You're playing your heart out every single night. You're fighting as hard as you can to get to that next payday, to get to that next level. Sort of like the indie scene in professional wrestling. And a perfect example, like you don't know if you're at an indies wrestling match when you might be seeing the next star. Just like at the boxing tonight, you don't know if you're seeing the next star. I point back to 2005. I was covering an independent event east of Toronto, and a guy named Samoa Joe was in the venue. And I saw him down, and I was like, oh, that's somebody. 2005, and lo and behold, Samoa Joe's one of the best of all time. But to my point, the boxing, you never know. You could be looking at the next great one.
You very, very well could. Well, Andy, let's get to the great one, which is the trade that shook up the NFL world last night. And I was saying earlier in the show, there are a lot of people who are very happy right now, and a lot of people are very mad right now that Max Crosby went for 2 1s. And the reason I say it that way is because, Andy, you know as well as I do, this is the first time in the Ravens' history they've ever traded number 1 picks for a player. That means this organization is breaking away from 30 years of history to basically say, no, we need this guy. And the Cowboys called about him. The Eagles called about him. The Chargers called about him. Everyone was calling about this guy, but the Ravens were the one that shook the world up last night.
Yes, and this is a statement move by the Ravens. As a Browns fan, I hate it. I'll tell you this. Rest of the AFC North, you better get your offensive line in order. I'll tell you that right now. You better get that front 7, because last year the Ravens as a whole took a step back, and their defense wasn't what you'd expect typically of the Ravens. Hard nose, the back in the Suggs days type of deal, right? Just nasty. It was kind of The whole team was meh. Now you bring Crosby in as a difference maker, and that is somebody who can wreck a game. And now in the same division, you got Myles Garrett and Max Crosby head-to-head twice a year. Like, that is pretty exciting.
It's exciting, but it's also scary for the rest of the NFL because of the fact that you literally had a player who's coming off of an injury.
Yep.
Who got 2 first-round picks. That means that if you're a team that is interested, let's say in the Eagles, A.J. Brown, if you're a team that has called about some other players on the trade market, everyone's price just went up exponentially.
Sure. And yeah, you're right. I think it's a bit of, also you can see it as a bit of desperation for a team to break away from something they've never done. And the point being, maybe, okay, how much longer are we going to have Lamar Jackson possibly at his prime? And you could argue, you look last year, the injuries line up, he looked a step slower, right? They are trying to cash in right now, and I don't blame them for doing it. It's going to be very interesting what the reply is from the rest of this division. Because one player, quite often, it's like, okay, you can scheme. Max Crosby is a shade under Myles Garrett, but right in the same category of like, you got to plan for that guy, and you have to build your team a strategy around that. Just like for Lamar Jackson, when the Browns had to go get Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who's probably not going to play anymore, and then Carson Schlesinger as mobile, horizontal, linear linebackers that can go sideline to sideline to track and cover. And it's those types of difference makers that really shake things up and make general managers say, okay, I have to actually do something specifically to make sure this player doesn't wreck us twice a year.
By the way, so you mentioned Samoa Joe. I had to find this. That's from 2018.
That's you and Samoa Joe? Oh my gosh. Wow.
Well, so for those who don't know, I got to go to the VIP experience in Wildwood back in 2018. And everyone was doing normal pictures. So I thought it would be funny if I did like a face-off.
A stare down,
He was totally game. And, he actually shook my hand after this, and he says, you actually held eye contact. I'm impressed.
Josh, I got to say I love that picture, but we do have some breaking news for the Philadelphia Eagles that just broke from Adam Schefter.
Oh,
go ahead.
What do we got?
Jordan Davis and the Eagles reached an agreement on a 3-year, $78 million extension that includes $65 million guaranteed and makes him the highest paid nose tackle in NFL history.
Wow. Well, my initial
Adam
reaction, my initial reaction to that, I got to say really quick, that goes to show you the evolution of Jordan Davis, because just a couple of years ago, people were wondering, is this guy even going to be worth a contract extension? Like, people were looking at him as somebody who is a problem, right? You know, he couldn't get in shape. His cardio wasn't good enough. So for him to get this deal, I think is a huge sign that, and I'm pulling it up on the stream momentarily here. It's a huge sign, Andy, that the Eagles in the building, right? You know, NFL teams in the building, they know more than we do, right?
Sure.
So in the building, they're telling you, hey, this Jordan Davis guy, he's done everything we've asked of him and more. And because he's done everything we've asked of him and more, we're willing to give him this extension. And I think that the important thing apart this is that, you know, this probably means that you can say goodbye to two people. You're saying goodbye to Dallas Goedert and to Kobe Dean, because you're not giving him this kind of money. You're not giving him this 3-year extension, tying him to your organization, if you're also going to bring back those other guys.
That's a great point. It's the ripple effect, right? And I love me some Dallas Goedert, but I think for the Eagles, you can maneuver elsewhere, whether it's in the draft this year. Some good-looking tight ends in the draft this year. We can get to those in a little bit if you want. There's some good-looking picks. And you can also kind of dibble-dabble a little bit in free agency too. Like, I got my eye as a secondary. I'm not saying to replace to the Dallas Goedert as peak, but a Noah Fant out of Cincinnati, you can probably get for $4 million, and the guy still has some offensive upside. You know, it's not going to break the bank, and depending how you use them, you know, it's something you can do. But it's a statement. I think what it also does inside an organization to young players, it has a bigger effect too, because it tells you, if you do the work, if you do what we preach every day in the building, this could be you. We keep and reward our own. We won't chew you up and spit you out. So for the Eagles, this is a statement, I think, also to say once again, hey, we're a first-class organization on the field, and we're going to take care of you outside the field as well.
And again, so the breaking news, Jordan Davis reaches a 3-year extension with the Eagles. He'll be locked into Philadelphia for the next 4 years. Multiple reports are coming down with this information. So this is, and again, I want to point out, this happened because Jordan Davis lost a ton of weight. He lost over 40 pounds. He got in better physical condition. His cardio was brought up, and he became a leader in that locker room. So I think that when you factor in all those things, Andy, and listen, you've seen it numerous times with organizations, right? When a young player starts showing you what he's capable of, then what does he do? He goes out there and he gets rewarded, like you said. And by the way, you're right. The Eagles are an organization that will take care of their own. And I think that's a huge key to this, is that we got to remember that the Philadelphia Eagles, if they are taking care of their own like this, that means they will take care of you too. And that's part of their pitch.
That's all of it, right? Absolutely. And it goes, and also, if you're the general manager in the front office, it's always a feather in the cap, giving a deal like this, giving an extension like this, because it says, hey, remember, I drafted that guy, and now he's awesome, just like I said. That gives you capital within the building and ownership also when it comes down, if, you know, something doesn't work. I say, yeah, remember Jordan Davis.
Yep.
Remember that guy. Remember this guy, right? So it does give you quite a bit of ammo, and that's an interesting hire. But you're right. The ripple effect is going to be probably a goodbye to Dallas Goedert. And at this point, again, I like me some Dallas Goedert, but I don't. It's not going to be an incredible replace. It's a doable replace.
Before we get to the Goddard thing, here's the numbers again. I want to bring it to everybody. So it's 3 years, $78 million extension. It's $65 million guaranteed. The $65 million is the important part of the guaranteed money, because that means that he is going to average around almost $22 million a year in terms. So the Eagles are not just giving him an extension. They're making a massive commitment to say, you showed us in the last 2 years you were willing accept hard coaching. You got in shape. You improved your conditioning. You became a leader. If anybody watched the HBO Hard Knocks, okay, Jordan Davis is one of the players on there, and they showed him being a leader, going out to team dinners, being that guy in front of the team. And so you can tell that the Eagles said this was not a fluke. This was not just a guy playing for a contract. Because you know what, Andy, they could have let him play the final year of his contract. He is a first-round draft pick. He has that extra year on the rookie deal. So, it's one of those things where, for example, you cover the Cleveland Browns in the AFC North with the Sick podcast. You remember the Myles Garrett thing, right? They didn't give him the contract initially, right? They kind of let him dangle in the wind a little bit before they gave him that contract. The Eagles said, no, we're not being wishy-washy here. We're just going to, get this done. Here's the contract. What can we do? This is our commitment to you. Now, don't make us look bad.
Yeah, well, and that's always the thing. Now you got the money. Is there going to be a couple extra desserts? Is the weight going to stay off? That's the question. It seems though if he was wired that in that direction, that doesn't seem like that's going to be undone. That's not a fluke, a contract year, and a guy plays extra hard, and it doesn't seem like that's in his makeup.
So let's pivot. Andy McNamara from the Sporting News NFL writer joining us here on Hanging with Hennig. Josh Hennig broadcasting live from Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City, 97.3 ESPN FM, streaming live on YouTube and next in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios at Josh Hennig. Of course, we're presented by Boxing Insider Promotions with the big boxing event with 5 New Jersey fighters in action tonight at Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. You mentioned about the tight ends. This is a fascinating conversation because, one of the things that we were talking about last week, and it played out, right? You saw Kenyon Sadiq ball out at the combine. I don't think, and you and I talked about this before, I've talked about other people about this. Alex Berardis, he was with me last week. He heard me say it. I don't think Sadiq is going to be there for the Eagles at 23. He's not going to make it to the 20s. So unless you're going to be that team that trades up, you got to pivot. Now, I don't know if Eli Stowers is the guy you pick in the first round, right? But I do know that there are tight ends in this draft that have to be considered, and you might not get him in the first round, but guess what? Dallas Goedert, second-round pick. Zach Ertz, second-round pick. Brent Selleck, I believe, was a fourth-round pick. LJ Smith, I believe, was a second-round or third-round pick. So the Eagles have found their lineage of tight ends, okay? Remember, if you go from 2000 to 2025, Andy, the Eagles went from Chad Lewis to LJ Smith to Brent Selleck to Zach Ertz to Dallas Goedert. So, and they've gotten all these guys without drafting a tight end in the first round. So it is not crazy to think that if they are picking in the second round and Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt is there, that they snatch him up.
Well, sure. And you can get great tight ends after the first round. Harold Fannin Jr. was a third-round pick last year. Guy is an absolute stud from Bowling Green. Led the Browns in receiving yards, receptions, and touchdowns, right? Like, you can find those guys. For me, I like Sadiq a lot. I wouldn't be too upset that you can't get him in the first round. I think he's a bit undersized. Tested off the charts. I'm not taking that away from him. A little undersized for me at 6'3" for a tight end. Now you can maneuver him around, of course. I think he's going to be a good player, depending where he goes. I think there's some value in that second, third round, even as late as the fifth round. And I love myself some Max Clare out of Ohio State, 6'5", 243. I think this is a guy where he doesn't – now, he's not going to burst and after catching the ball – and zip downfield, not home run type of breakaway, but this is a big-bodied, willing blocker who can catch the ball. Had a couple concentration drops, but I don't think that's a big deal. Strong inline blocker, too, and he can, right off the line, he can explode. He's got that explosive. So I think Max Clare, probably second round. Sam Roosh from Stanford, another 6'5", 259. And this guy's, again, what I want from the tight ends, Josh, is I want a playmaker. I want someone who's catch the ball. But I want someone who's not afraid of the dirty work, right? You read someone, it's like, not a will. Sam Roosh is a willing blocker. He's a dirty, and I don't mean dirty and get penalties, but down and dirty type of penalty guy. And then if you think, okay, I want to wait a bit, fill other needs, not as dynamic, but a late bloomer with a massive wingspan for only being 6'3", 262, Dallin Bentley out of Utah, future red zone weapon. I'm reading this off my Sporting News article here. You can check it out. I wrote down physical edge as a blocker, and can fit that hard-nosed cold weather option. Body control, can really contort himself. A little clunky when it comes to maybe breaking away into routes, but again, if you're going to wait a little bit, that's a guy you can have as a part of a tight end, maybe room, maybe add somebody else as part of a 1-2.
All right, so let's pivot to the other news that's been this week. So today, Jordan Davis signs the extension, so he's locked in for the Eagles defense. Max Crosby traded last night for 2 first-round picks. Yeah. Earlier this week, DJ Moore was traded for a second-round pick. Okay, so and there's a lot of reporting out there from people like Albert Breer and Jeff McClain and others that the Eagles are looking at A.J. Brown. They're going to trade him. Not that they're wanting to trade him, but they were going to trade him in the vein of Devontae Adams. Adams was about 2 years older than A.J. Brown is now when the Packers traded him to the Raiders, and they got a first and a second-round pick. So what do you think now? Because to me, I look at the DJ Moore trade and the Max Crosby trade and say, that makes A.J. Brown's price tag fit more in line with the Eagles want to do than what other teams need to do. And with Buffalo acquiring DJ Moore, do you think that makes a team like the Patriots more antsy to improve their receiver? Or a team like the Bucs say, we're going to lose Mike Evans in free agency, we need to go get this guy? Or a team like the Chargers say, there's no way that we are going to find a better option than A.J. Brown on the free agent market? Like, does the DJ Moore trade create a little bit of, a little angst, a little agitation in the waters?
Right. You got one, it's supply and demand, right? You got one guy off the market. And so if you want a veteran and if you're in a win now mode, who's the next guy to get? Now, personally, for me, DJ Moore to Buffalo does not excite me at all. DJ Moore is fine. He declined throughout the year. If you're Buffalo, you still better be drafting a wide receiver. Like you got it. It's DJ Moore's your number one, and you still Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman's just a kind of a clunky guy. This isn't the move. If I was the Bills, and again, who knows the conversations? I'm sure they inquired on AJ Brown, and it was too rich for them, I suppose. But that's the move. Like, you're in win now, but that's the move. DJ Moore is okay. I still need a number one. DJ Moore's not going to go out and win you a Super Bowl. Like, no, I need a dynamic guy. And again, maybe you get that with the Bills in the draft, because you can get, late first round into the second. It is a deep WR2 class with guys who can jump up. My combine crushed Jacoby Lane out of USC. I think you can get in the second, maybe third round, but probably late second. If you're Buffalo, get him. Guy ran a 4.47, 40, 6'4". 40-inch vertical, 5 inches higher jump than Denzel Boston, who's going in the late 20s, in the mid-20s in most mock drafts. That's the guy. You still need another guy if you're Buffalo.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm a big Denzel Boston guy. I'm very, very high on him. And for someone to out-measure him at the combine is saying a lot, for a guy who's as big as Denzel. Him. Yeah.
He had a bad combine, though. And that's why it's only people like, oh, what do you think of the combine? It's not the be-all, end-all. If a guy – what the combine does for me, what I always do, I got my notebook here with my 2026 notes. I go back to 2020. I found my old Tua notes. I was right. Anyway. Called it. But what it does now is if I see something really good or really bad from someone I like, it makes me say, okay, I want to go back and read more. I want to go back and watch more. So Denzel Boston had a bad combine. He looked slow. He was dropping. But the game tape didn't lie. So it's a bit of a conversation thing, and maybe he drops a bit more because of a poor combine showing where other people's rise. But, yeah, to your point with A.J. Brown and the Eagles, I think that DJ Moore trade leaves you right in the same area code that you were in before, because you can say, well, A.J. Brown's this better than DJ Moore, and they got a second. So the conversation begins with a one, and then what else are you going to give me?
Right.
And that's, if you're a win now, like you said, if you're the Patriots, you added an A.J. Brown, boy, with Vrabel's coach, like you talk deep, that's the type of atmosphere where you can control a diva type under that Mike Vrabel solid, hard, but player-friendly system. You put him in there, and don't discount the Patriots going on another real deep run.
Absolutely. Andy McNamara, of course, Sporting News NFL. Right, check out all of his coverage of the NFL at AndyMC81, the X platform, at AndyMC Sports on Instagram. And, of course, he is the host of the Sick Podcast. Like, subscribe, and download wherever you get your podcasts. Andy, always great to have you on. Even better to have you on Breaking News.
How about
with
that?
Jordan Davis getting
Jordan
the
Davis.
3-year contract extension. He's now the highest paid nose tackle in NFL history with $65 million guaranteed. Andy, great stuff today.
All right, buddy. Enjoy the boxing. Talk to you later.
Absolutely. And, of course, thanks to Alex Berard is back in 97.3 ESPN studios for jumping in and getting us that breaking news ASAP here on Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, we are broadcasting live, as I said, at Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Boxing Insider Promotions tonight. 5 New Jersey fighters in action. The first action-packed fight card in Atlantic City of 2026. Tickets are on sale right now. Ticketmaster.com. And the Tropicana Showroom box office opens after 4 p.m. The doors will open after 6:30. First fight is scheduled for 7:30. We'll get back to the text board as well coming up. I see call from LBI who has a good text on the text board, 609-403-0973. We'll give you more previews of the boxing action tonight. Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City with me, Josh Hennig, Hanging with Hennig, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. And we are streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. Just follow at Josh Hennig.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Here's Maxey driving the ball, skids to a stop. Here's VJ Edgemcomb for 3, and it's in! Edgemcomb a clutch 3!
It's Sixers Hawks tonight. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
Tired of cooking and planning all of your meals each and every day? You need Prevail Nutrition to simplify your life. For almost a decade, Prevail Nutrition is a local meal prep company located in South Jersey that allows customers to design their own meal plan. Or you can choose from a wide variety of chef-designed meals on their weekly changing Prevail Selects menu. You can order online for pickup or get free delivery on orders of over $50. Prevail Nutrition delivers to Atlantic and Cumberland counties along with Ocean City. Or you can pick up your meals every Monday and Friday. Learn more about how Prevail Nutrition can simplify your life. Visit their website at prevailnutrition.club. Check out Prevail Nutrition on Facebook and Instagram. Prevail Nutrition is my go-to choice for prepared meals and foods. Order online, like me, at prevailnutrition.club.
Making your home look brand new is what Work of Art Construction can do for you. Ready to remodel your bathroom or have a kitchen makeover? Art Masker has 40 years of experience in construction and knows how to make your home look like a work of art. Want to install a new back deck or invest in a new front door? Just call Art Masker at 609-788-4271 to learn more. Visit Work of Art Construction on Instagram to see how Work of Art Construction can make your home look brand new. Beautify your home with Work of Art. Call him at 609-788-4271 and let them make your home truly a work of art.
What if you could have the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to the devices that need them most, that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a 6th sense, and that keeps you gaming in the fast lane, even when the whole family is banking on bandwidth. All your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included. Plus, get online in no time with same-day Wi-Fi.
Hey, let's face it, a lot can change in 5 years. Kids grow taller, dreams grow bigger, but your Wi-Fi, it would stay reliable and the price would stay put. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity, imagine that.
Select plans only. Restrictions apply. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025. Actual speeds vary. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to the premises by coaxial cable.
Need a new car and have no idea. It's gotta be a MAAC Black Kia.
Spring out of your old car and spring into a new matte black Kia for less. 26 matte black Kia Sportage LX, just $129 per month. 26 matte black Kia K5 GT line, just $139 per month. All new 2027 matte black Kia Telluride, $339 per month. Drive now and pay later with 0 payments for 90 days. Plus, we'll pay you up to $3,000 over Kelley Blue Book fair market value for any trade in any condition. Have a job clearing $450 per week? Matte Black Kia wants to get you approved today. We sell more, so you save more.
Matte Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike,
Egg Harbor Township, or matteblackkia.com.
Need a new car and have no idea. It's gotta be a Matte Black Kia.
24-month leases, $59.99 to its signing. Call 888-506-4132 for details. Interest accrues from date of purchase on select models. Offers don't combine. Expires month end.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Winter storms can change the road in an instant. When the unexpected happens, you want the area's top-of-mind high-end collision specialist. Moppert Brothers in Northfield is trusted to restore luxury and performance vehicles to exact factory specifications. Manufacturer certified by Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Ford, Tesla, and Polestar, their team uses advanced equipment and precision craftsmanship to protect your investment. After the storm, choose the name drivers have trusted for decades. Moppert Brothers of Northfield.
Now back to Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Hanging with Hennig back here live at Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. We are streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. As you will see my next guest, he is matchmaker Eric Botcher joining me here as we are here for Boxing Insider Promotions. Of course, 5 New Jersey fighters on the card tonight. Eric, how you doing today?
I'm feeling pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So, for you, talk about, for those who might not know, what exactly is a matchmaker and what is your role in the grand scheme of things?
So it's that, as it's literally sounds, I put together the matches on the show. So Larry Goldberg, the promoter, he's got a few fighters that I know are going to be on the show, so that I have to match them. And then there'll be a few other fights where we just start organically and find fighters on both ends and match them up. So I negotiate the fights, how many rounds, what's the maximum weight, and of course the important part, how much are they getting paid?
Right, because that's always the more important question for the majority of people, right?
Yep.
It's not even who they're even fighting some of these times.
Yeah, there's always problems with matchmaking, and most of the problems, like anything else in life, are solved by money.
Right. So for you, putting together a fight card like tonight obviously is unique because you have so many local fighters to the area. A lot of times, people go to an event in a different city. There's not a lot of people from that area look at professional sports. Like almost nobody on the Eagles is from Philadelphia, right? So, how unique is it for you and what you do to say, hey, we're putting 5 New Jersey fighters on a fight card on one night?
Yeah, I mean, there's so few fighters compared to how it used to be, and I don't mean to sound like an old dinosaur, but I am. 20, 30 years ago, the number of fighters was double, maybe even close to triple 10 years ago. There's not a lot of product out there to begin with, and of course, in any era, fighters are leery about fighting each other from, close by neighborhoods because it's a matter of pride and nobody wants to go back to that neighborhood a loser.
Right.
So if we have 5 New Jersey fighters, which is a good point about this show, you still have more fighters on the show that are not from New Jersey. And that didn't used to be so. So right now, 5 is a good number. It's to have a show where there's 5 what's considered local boxers on one professional show. That's tough to do.
Yeah, 5 boxers who also live and train within an hour of Atlantic City is also the cool element of that. Again, tonight, Boxing Insider Promotions, Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Tickets still on sale, Ticketmaster.com. And the Tropicana Showroom box office opens after 4 p.m. It's funny you mentioned about, people who know each other. Two of the fighters on this card, Justin Figueroa and Josh Popper, they're both Holy Spirit High School graduates. And, Justin has kind of joked to me in the past about how, he'll go like, hey, it's a good thing, Popper's in a completely different weight class, because I don't, I wouldn't want to fight like a fellow, graduate of my high school. So that kind of like reminded me of what you were saying about people saying, I don't want to, compete with somebody from the same neighborhood, or in this case, from the same, school lineage.
Yeah, it doesn't. It sometimes doesn't even matter if they're friends or not, because the friends can be the excuse,
right?
And they happen to be from the neighborhood, but hey, we're friends and we would never fight. And I hear that. And then sometimes it's the opposite, where there's such a sort of a deep-seated dislike for the other side just because of territorialness, that they can't put it in their mind, hey, I should take this fight, even because the fear of losing overcomes their hatred for the other guy and wanting to bash them. And more often than not, those fights just don't get made.
I know that, it's hard to, say who your favorite child is if I ask this question, but is there a match tonight that you are most looking forward to?
What's great about these shows, and this is a tribute to Larry Goldberg, the promoter. He allows me to make fights that are competitive. There's a lot of shows around that you look at the card before you walk in, before the first fight gets into the ring, who's going to win those fights. That's not true here.
Also, really quick, you also know when you can go up and go to the bathroom, or go up and get something to drink.
So tonight.
When you think about the New Jersey fighters as well, a lot of them, pretty much all of them are either undefeated or only have one loss on their resume. Does that create a dynamic in matchmaking that makes it either easier or more difficult?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it depends on the fighter and how advanced the fighter is and how talented the fighter is. So there could be two 10-0 fighters from New Jersey, but one of them will be vastly different from the other. Let's take the more talented one who has maybe more amateur experience. That fighter can quickly step up the competition without fear of getting beaten, because it's all about these guys want to rise to a certain level without a loss and then take really competitive fights for a lot of money. So that journey, if the guy is better and the guy has more amateur experience, journey's a little easier because he's going to have more money invested in him, and his talent will overcome, whatever opposition he faces. Whereas the marginally talented guy, if he's not like a ticket seller, and so he's not very important to the show, he's going to be thrown in 50-50 fights before this big money. That's just the way it is.
Now, you mentioned about amateur experience. So just to use a specific fighter for an example, Leah Lewandowski has a very unique background. Her whole story is absolutely wild in the fact that the majority of her amateur experience came surrounding the Olympic trials. So how does someone like that, with not like the traditional, I have, 20, 30 amateur fights, but then her being part of Olympic trials, like how does that change the dynamic of saying, I have someone with X amount of experience?
So for women's boxing is where men's boxing was 100 years ago. So, and that being the amateur part of that is there's not a lot of girls that are turning professional now, as is well back in those days where they were literally starting women's boxing. So there wasn't a huge amateur background for these women.
Right.
I think the next generation, that's going to be different. I think the next generation, women, especially in this country, the term pro, will have significant number of amateur fights, 30, 40, 50 amateur fights. But most of the women turning pro, they're not like Clarissa Shields, who had, I think, 77 amateur fights. She was an exception. That will become, part of the routine program, but that's a decade from now. So like with Leah's case, she'll be fighting girls that have more amateur experience or far less amateur experience. It's just random. But these girls reach a certain level pretty quickly when they turn pro. So there's not a lot of mismatches there.
Well, I'll also say that, not to go too down the rabbit hole, but one of the other issues for women combat sports is that you have so much crossover now. So you have some women, they start in boxing, they go to MMA, or they start in MMA and they go to boxing. And I'm sure, that creates some sort of weird conversations where you have someone in my mind, I go to Holly Holm, right?
Yeah.
Someone who won multiple belts in women's boxing and then goes to women's MMA. And I remember there was a whole fiasco when she ended up fighting Ronda Rousey because she had very few MMA fights, and certain commissions would not, sign off on them fighting because Ronda had exponentially more MMA experience. So, in the women's combat world, you could say there's a lot of weird, I want to say weird, but a lot of, shall I say, challenges, right, when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that fight up. That's the only MMA show I ever watched, because I think at that point Ronda Rousey was on the cover of Ring magazine, which is a boxing magazine, and
Right.
she had not had a boxing fight yet. So there was all of a sudden this hype about her being a boxer. Holly Holm, everyone in the boxing world knew, had professional boxing experience, was an actual boxing world champion. So this match intrigued us, and we watched. And I remember watching it with a friend of mine. About 40 seconds into the fight, I turned to my friend. I'm like, "This girl can't fight." Meaning Ronda Rousey. I'm
Right.
like, she doesn't even know what to do with her feet here.
Yes.
So I was shocked that she was supposedly a superior combat sports, women's athlete, because at least in the boxing sense, she did everything wrong.
Correct. And that was really, in terms of MMA, because I cover MMA as well, that was like the warning when Holly Holm knocked out Ronda. And by the way, she knocked her with a kick as well. Let's throw that in. So that's not even Holly's main expertise. She's a boxer, and it was a warning sign to the rest of women's MMA, because you could argue from that point on, women's MMA has become much more refined in terms of striking. Whereas now, if you can't be a Ronda Rousey in today's world, you can't be someone who just comes from judo in. It's kind of like what men's MMA went through 20 some years ago, where you had, your wrestlers, your boxers, and everybody coming together. And over time, they realized, you actually have to learn other things. You can't just come into with one thing. And I think the same thing goes for boxing, right? You can't just be a one-dimensional fighter.
Yeah, that's a great point, because that's the evolution of MMA, what you just described. So women's boxing is going through its own evolution. They're just 100 years behind men. They're 100 years just behind as far as this, basically this is, later in their gene pool than it has been for men. So they are, girls like women like Clarissa Shields and Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, they will be remembered 100 years from now. Like, we remember male boxers like, Jack Dempsey and Jack Johnson. These are just pioneers.
Gotcha.
These are, these women are pioneers now, but this is where they are as a whole.
Well, that's a very interesting analogy, because you could, if you're looking at someone like Jack Johnson and Jack Dempsey, their style of fighting would be wrecked by people 50 years, 60 years later.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, so correct me. Eric Botcher joining us here. He is a matchmaker with Boxing Insider Promotions and with other boxing events. You're saying that basically women's boxing is going to has a chance to evolve to a point where it's going to make a Clarissa Shields, just use her as an example, almost look like she doesn't belong, maybe potentially years.
Yeah,
down the road.
100 years from now, I'm sure, because the film now of everything will exist 100 years from now. They're going to look at Clarissa Shields and say, literally, that girl could fight. Like, she was considered good. Like, it'll just be a bafflement to them. It's just evolution. I mean,
Right.
I remember there was a story about Jim Thorpe. There's a book about Jim Thorpe that just came out, a documentary. So, fact is, Jim Thorpe, if you put him in the state of Oregon women's 100-meter dash, he would not place in the top 10 in high school right now. It's just evolution. People, men and women just get bigger, faster, stronger.
Well, so it's the training too. You know more
nutrition and training.
Like the story, the Larry Bird story. For those who don't know, Larry Bird, the reason why his NBA career was ended early was because he sustained a back injury while putting his mother's driveway in for her himself. In today's world, first of all, you paid somebody. These pro athletes today would pay someone to pave their mom's driveway. And two, with modern medicine and rehabilitation, Larry probably could have handled the back injury better than laying on the floor at the 92 Olympics on a foam roller hoping for the best.
Yeah, no, everything overall gets better. There's now AI is involved in this now, and AI can look at a problem and just literally spit out at least the statistical correct answer that people are looking for if they're going to however weight they put on statistics.
Eric, before we let you go, and I appreciate you jumping on this. This is a ton of fun, this conversation. Obviously the main event tonight, Justin Figueroa, Mr. Atlantic City, Holy Spirit High School graduate, Legacy lifeguard. He's got all the superlatives around him, but he's also undefeated. He's 14-0. What for you, as someone who's a matchmaker, is unique about him?
So he's at a point where a lot of boxers get, where at this point, every fight he has, including tonight, he's going to be in danger because he's fighting at a level where even if he's better than the other guy is good enough to put him in danger. And if he puts him in danger, then, Justin could lose the fight. So these are the types of fights that he's going to be fighting just because of experience, and he's earned his way there. He's earned his way to compete at this higher level. So these are the fun fights to watch in his development for sure, because you don't know where his ceiling is yet. These guys that like he's fighting tonight, it's going to start to reveal what the ceiling is.
Absolutely. Eric Botcher, of course, he is a matchmaker. He put together this Boxing Insider Promotions card tonight, Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Again, tickets on sale, Ticketmaster.com. Tropicana Showroom box office opens after 4 p.m. Doors open tonight around after 6:30. First fight scheduled for 7:30. Eric, great stuff, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, this was fun. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Josh Hennig, hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live from Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City, 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget about one of our sponsors of Hanging with Hennig is Caesars Sportsbook, the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. The action's heating up on the court, and there's no better time to start betting like a Caesar. Every bet that you place goes toward perks like hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. What are you waiting for? Download the app and use my promo code RADIO, DYW, and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. Rule your play with Caesars Sportsbook. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings, $2,500 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. See Caesars.com/promo for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Coming up, yes, we will get back to the text board. I do have Cole from LBI and others to get to. 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Boxing Insider Promotions is back with the fight card to start 2026. You must be here if you do not want to miss any of the action. 5 New Jersey fighters all in action, all within an hour's drive of Atlantic City. Come on out, support the local fighters. We'll wrap up the show recapping our conversations about the Eagles, breaking news with Jordan Davis, and more next. Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN.
Looking for a great happy hour or night out with friends and family? Hangtime Bar and Grill, located on the White Horse Pike in Galloway, has live music every Tuesday night, DJ bingo every Wednesday night, and check out their 30 TVs to watch your favorite team play any time of year. Enjoy all the college basketball tournament action in March with food and drink specials at the main bar, or check out their new private back deck patio. Plus, you can watch all the madness with Hanging with Hennig broadcasting live at Hangtime Bar and Grill in Galloway on March 21st. Check out Hangtime Bar and Grill on Facebook and Instagram to learn more about their weekly specials and one of the best happy hours in South Jersey on the White Horse Pike in Galloway at Hangtime Bar and Grill.
For 23 years, we've helped athletes at all levels at Clemic Performance Method, from youth to pros, increase maximum velocity, acceleration, vertical leaps, and general physical preparedness. We offer youth, high school, and pro college classes. Our proven results have earned national recognition from NFL coaches, sponsors, and a feature on ESPN Radio's Sports Science segment. You can contact me directly at 609-742-6190, or as always, visit us on our website, ClemicPerformanceMethod.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-498-6548. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-498-6548. That's 800-498-6548. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Go to get your game on at the Fanatic Sportsbook in the Gallery at Ocean Casino Resort. Go where fans become fanatics at the Fanatic Sportsbook in the Gallery. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com.
Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Make plans to make the trip to the Pick for Wild Game Weekend. Try duck gumbo, wild boar flatbreads, bison nachos, and venison burgers made with recipes you'll only find in the Pines. Wild Game Weekend, March 13th through the 15th at the Piccalilli Inn, Route 206, Chemung, New Jersey.
Hanging out at the Piccalilli. No work tomorrow, everyone's happy. Beers keep coming, tails piled high with friends and family, spirits to the sky.
Visit Piccalilli.com.
Hop in a John Deere Gator XUV for a day's work. Let's see what's on the to-do list. There goes the tree. And the fence. Not a problem. Because you've got a cargo box filled with solutions. Up to 4,000 pounds of towing capacity. And you're ready to roll.
The power's out!
Here we go again. The Gator XUV. Built for every kind of workday. Learn more at johndeere.com/Gator XUV. Nothing runs like a deer.
With other language learning apps, I was just playing games. I wasn't really learning. Babbel's different.
Babbel was designed by over 200 language learning experts to be the most effective way to learn another language.
Every time I open the app, I can choose to work on my writing, speaking, or listening. And it saves my mistakes for me to review, so I'm constantly improving. Before Babbel, I thought I just wasn't good with languages. But now I'm speaking French. Tout ça, c'est grâce à Babbel.
Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
Broadleaf's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. The name you know, the service you trust.
Broadleaf's has you covered in every season. Join their family comfort plan for priority service, annual tune-ups, and extra repair savings. For a limited time, take advantage of $500 off a full system replacement, plus up to $2,650 in utility rebates. Call 609-390-3907 or visit broadleafs.net.
The name you know, the service you trust.
Now back to Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Who is right? You are an ox and a moron.
And on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Hello? Get back in the room.
Streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and the X platform.
Josh Hennig back here on Hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live from Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City, 97.3 ESPN FM, streaming live on YouTube and X in the Dr. Squatch virtual studios. Of course, don't forget, we want to tell you about one of my great sponsors is Hang Time Bar and Grill. You just heard about them in the last break. Of course, we will be there Saturday, March 21st for the first weekend of, that big college basketball tournament every year. Yeah, we will be there hanging out with you, watching the games. So make sure you come on down and hang out with us at Hang Time. Hanging with Hennig is at Hang Time Bar and Grill. Alex, you can't make this stuff up. Sometimes the alliteration just does the job for you. Alex Berard is back at 97.3 ESPN studio doing yeoman's work because today has been another interesting day of technical stuff, shall we call it, right, Alex?
Yeah, as it usually tends to be around here. It's just, you say it all the time, technology's great, You just got to put it that way and just leave it at that.
What I used to say, it's a blessing and a curse, and now I just say it is what it is. Yeah. So
the quicker you can just come to terms with that, I think it's just easier on everybody.
Exactly. Well, see, you're wearing an Eagles Kelly Green back there in the 97.3 ESPN studio, I see. So you helped us break the breaking news of Jordan Davis before we get to the back to the text board. What is your take on the Jordan Davis extension?
Well, I first texted you thinking it was going to be the only breaking news that Mekhi Becton somehow is back in Philly for the day signing autographs.
That's just funny.
Yeah, hoping. I guess he's hoping. He tweeted it out himself, so maybe he's just hoping Howie Roseman's on Twitter seeing that, maybe going to give him.
You know what that is? That's the guy who comments on the Instagram models thing, trying to get attention.
Exactly. I like the effort, Mekhi. I do, but
I respect the effort, but just
get a contract. But Jordan Davis, big Jordan. I love it. I think it's interesting they got this deal done before we, went into this year. And as you said, I think that just has major implications for who is and mainly who isn't coming back on the defensive side of the ball. Like you said, Nakobe Dean, offensive side of the ball, Dallas Goedert. Now he's the first of these young guys to get paid. Still have Jalen Carter, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. These guys are hopefully eventually going to get paid. But, yeah, I think that just shows how much work he put in, how much of an improvement he made, and now we're sadly going to have to say goodbye to some other players.
Well, it's interesting you said that because that's where Cole from LBI chimes in on the text board at 609-403-0973. He says the Jordan Davis deal makes me question if the Eagles are going to extend Jalen Carter because of how likely and smart it is to have 2 record contracts on the D tackle, because the Eagles do need to sign and find more edge players. It's totally possible, but that's a ton of resources to similar positions. And, Mike Gill brought this up on the Sports Bash this week here on 97.3 about the idea of, can the Eagles keep both Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis on big deals? Now, we've seen teams do it in the past before. The Vikings were famous for doing it for Pat Williams and Kevin Williams back in the early 2010s. We've seen other teams like the Buffalo Bills do it back in the day. I know when the Ravens won their championship, the first one, it was Tony Siragusa and Sam Adams. So, teams have had 2-star defensive tackles before. It's just a question of, do you give that deal to someone like a Jalen Carter? Like, does Jalen Carter's stuff worry you, Alex?
I'd be lying if I said it doesn't, because there is some baggage that comes with Jalen Carter, but I do think this past year was kind of a down year. He had the shoulder injuries, surgery.
Really quick, whose baggage, quote unquote, bothers you more? Is it Jalen Carter and the shoulder issues and the spitting on Dak Prescott and all that weird stuff? Or is it A.J. Brown and his, I have a hamstring injury every year, I'm going to drop a ball and then I'm going to complain on Twitch?
Well, that's tough. Because I get tired of Jalen Carter because it's like, just don't spit, man. Like, come on. Like, we can be better than that. We really can. And then it's like, A.J., just keep your mouth shut, man. Like, don't say anything. Like, you're a great football player. We could be great. I think I do have to say AJ, though, just because he's like Nick Earnshaw says it all the time. He's just a troll. It's like, dude, if you would just shut up and just be the great player that you are, this would all be nothing. But I think Jalen Carter, you got to somehow bring him in. But signing Davis first, I think sets the precedent from Jalen Carter's camp saying he got that, I need more. But the cap went up exponentially this year, so hopefully that's going to work to the Eagles' favor.
And listen, I think that what's interesting is that the Eagles have all these free agents they got to make decisions on, and let's be realistic. If they were to trade an AJ Brown, for example, okay, there's salary cap implications that even if they do a contract restructure, right? You could restructure that contract, not get such a big cap hit, but you still got to pay some money up front. Then you're almost paying AJ Brown to go away. Alex, great stuff back in the 97.3 ESPN studio today. Hanging with Hennig, broadcasting live from Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Don't forget, we are here for the fights tonight. 5 New Jersey fighters in action. Holy Spirit High School graduate, undefeated Justin Figueroa. Holy Spirit High School graduate, Josh Popper. Berlin, New Jersey's Leah Lewandowski, Manalapan Township's John Body Shots Leonardo, and Pleasantville High School graduate Julio Sanchez III. Be here in action tonight. Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Tickets on sale now. Ticketmaster.com. Thanks to Dr. Josh Lamb, Andy McNamara, Mike Carlin, Travis Tellitocci, and Kevin Durso. And thank you for listening to Hanging with Hennig on 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, South Jersey, this is Billy Schwein. Tune into the Locker Room every Saturday and Sunday